And now, another major production.
I'm about to tell you what the real is. Deep down inside, you got to feel it. Emotions have the most number of killings. Pay close attention to your feelings. I'm about to tell you what the deal is. And when I'm talking, all I'm hearing is some crickets. Hurry honey, run and get your ticket. Just get the money, it's not always the business. Forget the $1 million mission. Sometimes I just want to go fishing instead of physically grinding in the trenches. Finding me using my knowledge, intuition. Chaka not talking while he so distant. Chaka be talking but they don't listen. He's sitting, his brain pumping like a piston. I've been chasing the twilight, now I've been bitten. The city's in my sights as if I was a pigeon. Your role is cast, your dialogue is written, it's past control. You're like a Sims minion, what to do now but roam around in and out of buildings. Seemingly living, touching ceilings, but there's no feeling. Willing and dealing, but really there's no winning. I'm sinning and sinning, so what I'm defending stuff's like prison, stuck in the life out of living. I'm about to tell you what the real is. Deep down inside, you got to feel it. Emotions have the most number of killings. Pay close attention to your feelings. I'm about to tell you what the deal is. And when I'm talking, all I'm hearing is some crickets. Hurry honey, run and get your ticket. Just get the money, it's not always the business. They say they do it for the money and the power. I'm just trying to get some peace in the shower. Protect what's mine without being a coward. Watch loved ones take time to breathe in the flowers. I've seen these G's get knee deep in powder because he needs to succeed in ours. Fuck your lifestyle, it's weak and it's sour. Fuck your lifestyle, it's weak and it's sour. Watch I come through and do like I do. Watch he come through and lose like he do. I'm a Hebrew, he just evil. We both hate people and church steeples. One thing's certain, demons lurking. They be stressing, we be surfing. She be twerking and it look like it's hurting. I be perping, close the curtain.
They give you lithium to get rid of that shit?
I'm about to tell you what the real is. Deep down inside, you got to feel it. Emotions have the most number of killings. Pay close attention to your feelings. I'm about to tell you what the deal is. And when I'm talking, all I'm hearing is some crickets. Hurry honey, run and get your ticket. Just get the money, it's not always the business. I'm about to tell you what the real is. Deep down inside, you got to feel it. Emotions have the most number of killings. Pay close attention to your feelings. I'm about to tell you what the deal is. And when I'm talking, all I'm hearing is some crickets. Hurry honey, run and get your ticket. Just get the money, it's not always the business. You boys think you real. What is real? Whatever it is, it's not you. For real. You know what I'm saying? KCE, we coming. It's the takeover, bitch. Y'all ain't ready. This is some whole new shit. For real.
Dime que tú quieres, papi.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? KCE, King Chaka. It is what it is, baby. You really not feeling me? Let me find out. Yo, question my ability. Let me find out. Invest in my enemy. Let me find out. There ain't no telling what you finna see. You finna find out. It's something that enters me. You finna find out. Then exit with energy. You finna find out. Riding flows like centipedes. You finna find out. Screw those that's pinning me. Let me find out. Get the big lips. I'ma call you Bill Bellamy. When you talk your shit, man, really it's killing me. Hit you with my fist and I'ma do it lyrically. Crazy ass brick, so I might do it literally. I'ma do this till I'm old eating celery. How old is Jay-Z? He gotta be 70. Come to my show or I'ma do it bitterly. Or hit the porn store with a bitch named Beverly. Keep waiting tables, yeah. Spicy means peppery. Or get tattoos and work in the factory. Whatever I do, I'ma do it happily. I'm tired of these rappers too, they do it tackily. That's why I'm here, I'm the shit this year. We gon' keep it moving, grooving, give you something you can feel. When shit's fucked up, gon' drop a tear. I'ma pull my pants up, grab another beer. Rap's messed up and I don't have no fear. Attack the chest up, it's a grown man in here. Ask you little chaps, what have you done in the field? Throw your steps up, let them know you're still here. I said you really not feeling me, let me find out. Yo, question my ability, let me find out. Yo, invest in my enemy, let me find out. Ain't no telling what you finna see, you finna find out. Yo, you really not feeling me, let me find out. Yo, question my ability, let me find out. Yo, invest in my enemy, let me find out. Ain't no telling what you finna see, you finna find out. Yeah, bounce, rock, shake, wiggle. We gon' come through and put it in the middle. They calls me fiddler cause I play the fiddle. Checking masters, white pipes, I's a good nigga. Bounce, rock, shake, wiggle. We gon' come through and put it in the middle. They calls me fiddler cause I play the fiddle. Checking masters, white pipes, I's a good nigga. I said you really not feeling me, let me find out. Yo, question my ability, let me find out. Yo, invest in my enemies, yo, let me find out.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? My little setup is a bit different than I normally do. I was trying something. I really don't like the way it looks. Anyways, I'm here, y'all. I ain't gonna lie, I feel like crap. But the show must go on. Why does it look like this? I don't even feel like fiddling with it. Like I say, the show must go on. Remember, we want you to be an activist. Yeah, like I say, man, I'm not feeling the best. I've been a bit under the weather. I need to start taking my health more seriously. You know, I got issues. I need to do better. I need to love myself more. I don't know why I don't. I really don't. Maybe it has something to do with the conditions that I've grown up in. This crazy world, you know. They don't really teach us to care for ourselves, really. They just teach us to work and do things for other people. So the unraveling of the brainwashing is a tough, long-time, full-time job. Anyways, I'm here though. So the name of the show is The Police Be Bang Ganging. And I also want to explain a little bit more about socialism because I always say people don't understand it. So they really don't get it. So it's going to be a reoccurring subject on the channel just because, you know, the ignorance circling it all. And what I try to get people to really understand is that, like, here in America, your idea of socialism comes from the Cold War era, when the United States was jostling with, you know, the USSR with like world dominance, if you will. So like they're worried about most countries either going that way or going like the capitalist way or whatever, however you want to say it, because those terms don't even really work for this, but that's the way most people understand it. So then it was like, you know, you either go the socialist way and end up into communism, or you go the capitalist way and you have a free markets and you have an opportunity to build wealth. So everyone has that idea from that. And everybody knows that anyone that has done any studying knows about McCarthyism and how all that stuff was debunked. And it was all bullshit. It was all propaganda. But regardless of that, the idea still holds strong, and they still carry a lot of weight in our political sphere. A lot of people still, because the propaganda machine was so strong, so dominant, it led to people still thinking that way. And it's been what, 50 years, more than that, since the Cold War. When did the Cold War end anyway? Cold War. When did it end anyways? And the other thing is the police. Now, this subject is really, really, really touchy, and I'm gonna be careful. And that's the reason why the title is the way that it is. I'm trying to avoid the algorithm on my ass. I'm sure they're gonna be on my ass anyways. But I tell you, man, I looked up this stuff because I was thinking about it today. And I was looking this stuff up, and I couldn't find very many articles or very many like YouTube videos or anything to support this kind of stuff. So it just shows there's a really major suppression going on related to gangs within police departments. Like it's so crazy because the people that know, they know, and it's been a known given thing. But then the public, like in the media and so forth and so on, everyone pretends that it's not a thing. Like or if they see evidence of it, then it's like, oh, this got to be a new thing, or oh, I didn't know they were doing this or whatever, pretending to be surprised. Like it's a secretive thing that people are keeping a really good secret with, as far as publicly. And what's going on?
So, man,
you look better.
Yeah, feeling much better, and
yeah, you look like you feel better.
Yeah, not blessed with a bunch of cuteness, but
yeah, you look like you feel better. So maybe it took you about a week then to kind of, maybe that's how long it'll take me. Shit, I don't know.
Well, I've still been dealing with the little bit of congestion, not as strongly as it was, but it lingered a little bit. And
I'm fucking hurting. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Anyways, I was talking about the gangs within police departments and how, I did a little bit of research. I spent some time researching today, looking up articles and looking up videos on the topic, and I couldn't find very much. I'm telling you, the internet didn't even, how like when you type stuff in, it'll finish it for you and populates. It didn't do that not one time when I typed in. I would type, and I did it multiple different ways. I did police gangs, and damn it, I can't remember the other way. Gangs within police, and then I did. I can't think straight right now. I keyed it in multiple ways, and neither time did it populate and populate anything. But I found videos, I found articles, but it was very, very, very few. So that's the thing, like that tells me that that's a clue. And that's what I always like to say about people. When you look at the news, look at the headlines and compare the headlines and stuff like that. Key in certain things and see how the internet reacts to that shit. That shit is a clue, because like, I'm sure, have you ever heard of gangs within police departments?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to say. I think that I think it's pretty common knowledge. I really do think it's pretty common knowledge.
I don't think that's a story that's been covered very much, and
it's not covered at all. That's what I'm saying right now. It's not covered very much at all. I'm telling you, I found like maybe 4 or 5 videos, and I found like maybe 3 or 4 articles. The articles was even shorter list The articles was a shorter list than the YouTube videos. But I got some stuff though.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that at all. But you know, you would think what are these guys that's out here, these fact checkers and all these people that are not doing their job.
It's crazy, man. It really is crazy that you can have this going on and then everybody is denying that it's happening, that it's a thing. You know, and not only that, this is what's driving a lot of the police brutality that's happening, you know. And they're talking about bad apples. It's a whole gang of them in there. You know what I'm saying? They got silent codes, they got hand signals, they got tattoos to identify each other.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, like it's real. Like, look, the police force is more of a game than the Bloods and the Crips or the Vice Lords and this, that, and the third. Like, you know, these people have those gangs have nothing on the police force. And, you know, like I said, I mean, I don't want to demonize the full entire force, but, you know, you got to really think about, you know, the kind of power they have, the way that they're able to move with no, you know, without very little question is, you know what I'm saying? This is, I mean, and these guys are shoot, tougher. Like some of these guys might come from some of these other type of gangs that we, you know, look down on. So, I mean, you know, they form, I mean, they have these unions that really, I mean, the ultimate protection. So, but yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of stuff you came up with.
Yeah. I don't know if I probably pull the articles up on my phone that I have. I have a few videos. Hold on, let me see. Do we want to start with that or just go straight into that? Because I had a few other things I want to talk about. I still want to talk about the bill. What do you know about the bill? Have it been on the news for you? See, they last I heard they chopped it down to 1.7 trillion or something like that. The reconciliation bill.
Yeah, no, I don't really do real news and stuff. Like, well, what people consider. I'm more of a. I mean, I don't necessarily believe in. I've got to the point to where I don't believe in what we call, you know, the mainstream media. I count on places like ours and places like ours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For real stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I be knee deep in them, elbow deep in the damn politics, man. And that should just be all down my timeline. So whenever something happens, it just goes straight down my timeline. It's always there because I'm so into the politics. Okay, I don't know which one I want to start with. Let me see. Los Angeles is the one that's easy to find, but where's the other place? Baltimore. That's another place.
I've been keeping up with some of the news, some tribal news, like
and Albuquerque. You wouldn't believe it. So
what?
these are the only places. Yeah, these are the places I could find videos that actually showed like kind of evidence related to the gangs within the police. Albuquerque, Baltimore, and Los Angeles. Most of the information is on Los Angeles because this kind of came out. They can't deny it. Let me see. The best
nothing about like LA and
that's what I say. LA.
City.
Nothing came out about New York. I don't have anything on New York. So I know it's worldwide. Not worldwide, nationwide, because I know it's here in Houston, but nothing popped up for Houston either.
Let me see something.
All right, let me see. I don't know which one I want to play because I don't remember which one was better. Because my ass is all out of whack a bit. All right, LA. I gotta breathe a bit. I gotta start smoking.
Yeah, you should.
That shit is fucking killing me, man. I don't know why the volume is low.
The illnesses are easier to get over.
Some Latinos at the department are involved in the so-called Banditos gang. As part of the initiation process, those deputies say the Banditos force potential members to assault or even shoot innocent bystanders. They also claim their targets are often young Latinos in the community. According to a recent study by the Loyola Law School Center for Juvenile Law and Policy, violent groups like the Banditos have been operating for decades with little to no consequences. A group of grieving mothers is trying to change that. They are suing LA County and several deputies, alleging wrongful killings of their children. Earlier this year, California's Attorney General launched a civil rights investigation into the claims. The county's sheriff, however, denies the allegations. Joining me now for more on her investigation is CBS News contributor Maria Elena Salinas. Maria Elena, thank you for joining us. Tell us how this all began.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Well, as Black Lives Matter protests continue around the country, the call for Black and Brown unity has never been more important. On social media, the hashtag Las Vidas Negras Importan was created.
Yeah, I think this video is from like 7 months ago.
To a group of Latino mothers who are united by a grim reality. Their loved ones have died.
March 18, 2021.
Say their names. Anthony Vargas, Paul Rea, Sean Monterrosa, Andres Guardado. These are just some of the Latino names missing from the national conversation about policing in communities of color.
I think the misconception that people have with Black Lives Matter is that they only represent Black lives.
You all have supported the Black Lives Matter protest and the marches with your own banner, Warriors for Our Children. What does it mean for you?
My thing is, I'm going to stand with the mothers because at the end of the day, our children bled out. Our children got killed.
Leah, tell me about Paul.
He wanted to take care of all of us all the time. He was also so loving, so loving.
My son, Anthony, was an amazing man. My son would take to children that didn't have that. He would take these kids to this little lake and he would teach them how to fish. And once they mastered that, he would take them to the beach and he would take them on a real fishing trip.
He was always helping his dad, his mom, his family, his cousins, friends. He was always in service of others.
On June 18th, 2020, Elisa's son, 18-year-old Andres Guardado, was working as a security guard at an auto body shop when he was shot 5 times in the back by Los Angeles Sheriff's deputies.
Do you know why the police stopped in the business where your son worked? Were they looking for him?
No, not my son. He was called into work.
A video released by the LA Sheriff's Department shows Andres talking to someone out front when 2 deputies pull up and start chasing him.
But no one was looking for him because he had no issues with the law.
According to the autopsy report, the deputies say they saw a weapon in his waistband, which led to the chase. During the pursuit, the deputy said he reached for it, and that's when they shot him.
They won't let me or my family see my brother's body, and I want to see my brother's body.
A lawsuit filed by the Guardado family
and that's what they do every time.
Sheriff's Department, LA County, and deputies Miguel Vega and Chris Hernandez alleges that the deputies' actions constituted an unjustifiable excessive use of force, were negligent and reckless, and resulted in a needless loss of life.
But was he armed?
No, he never carried a weapon.
The LA County coroner launched an independent inquest into the Guardado shooting. Deputies Vega and Hernandez, as well as 2 homicide detectives, refused to answer questions and invoked their Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. None has been accused of a crime. The investigation is ongoing. On the day Anthony Vargas was shot, he had attended prayer circle and a party at the Nueva Maravilla housing complex. While on his way home, he encountered LA Sheriff's deputies Nicolas Perez and Jonathan Rojas.
Lisa, your son Anthony was walking down the street when police who had received a report of a robbery approached him. Why did he run?
if you live here, you know why we run. There's a fear. It's a generational trauma that we've had.
According to the incident report, the suspects were described as
Damn, this not the
female
video.
Hispanics,
This one ain't as good
approximately
because
35 to 40 years old.
that
Later that morning, the
kid
robbery
right there,
was
his
shown
dad
in
was
photo
killed
array
also
and
by
did
the
not
cops. So he
identify
was already
21-year-old
scared.
Anthony Vargas.
He fell down, according to the sheriff's report, and
And they left that
they
out
say
of
that
this
he had a
one.
gun and that he was reaching for it. And that's why they shot him 13 times. Did your son have a gun?
No. There's a story where he has a gun in front of him and they kind of put their arms around him and they felt it. There's a story that he pulled it out and that he pointed it at them. There's a story that they seen him pulling it out and that's where they shot him. All of those facts are false.
The gun the deputies allege Vargas was in possession
I
of
actually saw
was
this video
tested for
before.
fingerprints
You
and
saw
DNA.
this?
Yeah.
According to lab reports,
Yeah, it's
no
old.
latent prints were developed.
But they're gonna
and a
go
DNA
into the
profile
stuff
was
about the
not obtained from the
banditos.
grip,
They just started
trigger,
this
or
video
trigger
off with
guard.
the
Did he own a gun, though?
He never
victims'
There are
stories.
inconsistent reports on how Anthony
Mhm.
died. According to
But
the
they're gonna
LA Sheriff's
move on.
Department, one of the deputies was facing Vargas while the other was behind him. But the
Or
autopsy
either that or
report
this is
shows
the
that
wrong
Anthony
fucking
was
video.
struck by 13 bullets, all from behind, including 2 to the head, fired by both officers.
My son was shot 13 times. It took him 5 seconds. It takes me longer to finish my sentence than it took for them to kill my child.
Hold
The
on.
thing is they have to kill someone.
Current deputies confirmed the existence of the Bandidos, a gang comprised of mostly Latino deputies that serve predominantly African American and Latino neighborhoods.
It's based out of East LA, but you know members that have become banditos in East LA have been promoted and they've spread all over the county.
These deputies do not want to be identified for fear of reprisal. CBS News has agreed to blur their faces and substitute their voices.
What are the benefits of joining the gang?
The benefits will be like any other street gang. You know, it's power, money.
How do they identify themselves?
With a tattoo.
Is there an initiation process to join the gang?
You could say that. They could go from you getting a shooting or, you know, they do anything for these guys.
You said they get shootings. What do you mean by that?
If you get in a shooting, that's a definite brownie point.
And according to these deputies, to justify those shootings, they plant weapons on the people they stop.
There's been multiple occasions where they say, hey, we got a guy that has a gun and he's running from us. In reality, that person never had a gun. And they would say, oh, it was a phantom gun. It was something that really wasn't there.
So you have personally witnessed that?
Yes.
We have heard that sometimes they arrest someone for no reason and then try to find a crime to accuse them of.
It's called working backwards. You make the detention first, then you figure out legally how you can make that detention.
A lot of these officers are Latinos, so why are they targeting other Latinos? Is it racial profiling? Self-loathing?
They do racial profile. It's like Latino gangs. They target other young Latinos.
It's
Some
real
of the parents,
simple.
accuse members of the Bandidos of using part of this as an initiation ritual. Is that true?
Yes.
Paul Rea was shot by LA Sheriff Deputy Hector Saavedra Soto. Is he a prospect for the Bandidos?
Yes, he is.
He's a prospect.
Anthony Vargas was shot by Sheriff Deputy Nicholas Perez and Sheriff Deputy Jonathan Rojas. Are they also part of the Bandidos gang or prospects for the Bandidos?
Prospects? Yes.
They're prospects.
How do you know they were prospects?
You know, just personal conversations with them and them saying that was one of their main goals, to be a part of this gang.
If you refuse to comply with their demands to join the gang, what happens?
They stop giving you backup, which is very dangerous.
Damn.
They ignore you. The Banditos believe they can get away with anything, and you know they're not going to have any type of consequences for their actions.
No one is above the law.
Newly elected LA County District Attorney George Gascon says he is
So,
committed to upholding the law.
We
This
take this
nigga-
allegation seriously, and if in fact we believe that there is a criminal activity within the sheriff's department, and then we'll deal accordingly.
What the fuck ever. So, Pat, so far, what you think?
Yeah. Well, I mean, based on the video, I mean, even outside of this, that a lot of this stuff exists. Like this, these things exist, like they're more prominent here.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Yeah, my connection's not as yeah. A lot of this, the video does, you know, things that I actually experienced, like, you know, some cops and like, you know, especially like in Baton Rouge, man, they're way more gangster than the than the people in the neighborhood. And of course, they got the extra, you know, they got backup like the city, the state, you know what I'm saying? They, you know what I'm saying? They lawless, you know what I'm saying? But, and then of course, when it comes to, you know, committing crimes, I mean, who's investigating them? You know?
Yep.
So
And that's what they're going to talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, like I said, I mean, you know, I mean, there's some respectful cops. You know, I have some friends that's, I guess you can say, that might be on both sides. I know some cops that's dirty, that will on you. You know what I'm saying? Which no, not no. If the weed ain't good, I'm telling you, that kind of job, like, they're definitely gangs.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But I guess this thing that's going on here, the Bandito, you know, what it was, the Bandito gang.
Yeah, this is specifically Banditos. It's just one of the gangs that's in the LA police, Los Angeles Police Department, Sheriff's Department. Yep, just one of the gangs. They have multiple. Let me see.
In the community.
I think.
Yes, Tanya, the different deputy gangs, and we identified 18. We think there are many more, have strong bonding rituals, tattoos, special ways of identifying police shootings. We did review 5 years of deputy shootings and saw a high correlation between belonging to a station with a deputy gang and being involved in these shootings. So it really looks like deputy gang membership increases violence in communities and foments an us against them culture in the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department.
So Juan, your organization has fought to integrate Latino officers into the police force in places like New York City. And statistics do show Latinos are the largest diversity group joining the force. So how do we explain these gangs? And does their existence impact the progress of finding equality for Latinos in the justice system, in the world of law enforcement?
Well, it's difficult to explain exactly how, you know, efforts to try to integrate the police departments, the people in blue throughout the United States, has resulted in very little change in police culture, except to acknowledge that, you know, once you're in this insular police force, you start adopting those cultural norms, despite the fact that you come from the very same communities that they are abusing. And that's probably true across the board. Secondly, there's a lot of internal racism and a lot of issues regarding race and implicit bias within Latinx communities across the country, because it emanates as well from Central America, the Caribbean, and Latin America. But with your question about how does it impact the equality, or finding equality for Latinos in the criminal legal system? I think that's a really serious question. It actually, if your first encounter as a young man or woman in the United States with police is based on the an outrageous charade that either you're engaged in criminality, which is not true, or they're engaged in gang violence and gang affiliation within the departments, and therefore taking out their violence on you, that completely destroys the trust that we're trying to create between civilian populations and the police force. It's similar to what happened in New York City with stop and frisk. Millions of people being stopped for no reason at all, innocent of all charges, to the tune of 86%. And yet their encounter was based on this ridiculous charade of just being harassed because of who they are, what they look like, and where they are.
So what you think, man? Like
is that the percentage of actual different groups that's that's in those gangs?
I think that was just the racial makeup of Los Angeles.
Oh, really?
So, but that shows how disproportionate, the stops for Hispanics and blacks are, or whatever. I'm not sure. I mean, I could take that back, but I don't focus on those kind of numbers like that, because that kind of stuff, I took a class, I took statistics, and I took that motherfucker like 3 times. I failed it. I understand it enough to know that the point of statistics is to confuse the shit out of you and lead people in whatever direction you want to with them damn charts and shit. That shit is all about misleading you. Statistics, the point of statistics, that's why I couldn't get it. It was so confusing to me, man. I did not get it. Most people in my class, it was like, this shit is easy. I'm like, this shit is confusing as fuck. It's confusing to me because the whole point of it is to confuse the shit out of people. And I don't like that kind of shit. My brain kind of shuts down when you are already trying to like mislead somebody or whatever. Like the whole point of it is to mislead someone. So yeah,
if we're dealing with accurate numbers, I mean, statistics, I mean, is really, for me, I guess it's beneficial because it gives you a certain metrics and a way to be able to, get a quick view of, a certain aspect in which you might be discussing. But I definitely believe that they use these type of numbers in, cases to try to bring up a certain type of narrative or to run a narrative
every time.
But at the same time,
the numbers are useful. I agree that they're useful, but their usefulness is not very much. Like they have a low level of usefulness is what I'm saying, because depending on, unless you got the data, you need to know everything about the data. So, they don't give you all that when they give you those numbers off top. I need to know how many people they surveyed, where was it at, during what time. I need to know all that shit to know how accurate these numbers are. They just be shitting them numbers out all the time. They could have asked one person, 2, 3, 5 people. You know what I mean? And came up with some shit. That shit is not accurate.
Yeah.
So, but what you think about, like, cause see, what's interesting to me from that clip is about the Hispanics, right? It's the Hispanic police officers who are taking advantage of other young Hispanics, and they're clicked up within the within the police department, and then they attack other cliques outside of the police department who are, the same demographic, if you will.
Yeah, that's it's messed up, but that's just kind of how I guess you could say that type of thing works, because if you're a gang and you work a certain area because of your demographic and you're into some BS, that's who you're gonna go to, because that's probably some of the people that you already kind of know, and you feel like whether the information that you'll get or cooperation that you'll get will be a lot easier, because if it's just mainly come down to your skin color, they'll somewhat comply because they feel, for whatever reason, I guess, like, even for us, don't you feel safer when a black cop stops you over?
No, but they not cooperating with these. They clicking on these people. They like literally beating them up, literally shooting them, literally whatever.
Well, I mean,
the same shit you do as a gang outside.
Well,
If you know.
Well, I mean, my thing is, I mean, contextually, if we really put it into context, the killing didn't. I mean, I don't think that the killing just happened like, hey, let's go. No, I mean, it's because of some involvement in most cases that they may have had with some of these people.
Maybe they knew them outside, but maybe it was completely random because that's what gangs do, right? They'll be like, it's initiation.
No.
I need you. Yes, they do. Gangs be like, I need you to take out a woman or something.
Well,
it'll be something like that.
If you're talking about initiation,
or
yeah,
any person,
maybe it is more random or whatever. But when it really boils down to the meat and bones of when business is going on, because these gangs, I mean, the cop gangs aren't just, like repping, they precinct. No, they are. No, they're not. They're not just repping like that. They're trying to make money, and they're using these youth in those communities to make money. They might be the ones that's actually dropping drugs off. And
that's definitely part of it, because what I'm trying to say is that the way they operate is no different from the gangs out here on the streets. Like no different. Like there's no difference. The gangs out here on the streets, they be making money too, but they also be having their little tribal ass fucking clique shit they do too. You know what I'm saying? Ritual ass shit that they do too. It's all a part of the whole thing, So like, and same thing with the drugs or whatever the hell, moving guns, whatever the hell it is. That's what the gang does as their business, but they still have their same shit. So and that's how I think. I feel like the ones that's in there are the same, and that's the same reason why it's like the Hispanic. Because if you think about it, tribes, gangs is all about tribes, right? So tribes aren't racial necessarily, because it's within the ethnic group, you have one tribe and you have another, and then that's the gang, one gang and another gang. Mm-hmm. So, and there it goes, because like I say, and I believe they have the gangs within the police department that don't fuck with each other too, just like that. I mean, even though it's multiple layers to this, so even though overall the badge is going to be the first layer, but there's other layers. You know what I'm saying? And the deeper layer is going to be your clique, your gang.
I feel you. And I mean, the gangs, typically, if we're talking about a gang, let's just take it outside of the police officers. The main thing about gangs and the reason why they even exist is because, all right, for one, that's a family structure. It's a way for people to, kind of like get together, mostly to hustle. Like it's a camaraderie, but a lot of times it's centered around some form of crime, selling drugs, stealing. Like
3 years ago, fault lines went to Baltimore during a historic uprising.
Okay, go ahead. So, my bad.
Yeah, I mean, their whole the reason that they even have really can unite is not for the protection that you might hear about. For some people, it is, but it's usually centered around criminal activities. So if we're looking at police officers as gangs, is to be able to uphold a certain level of criminal, different crimes, or shall I say, criminal activity. So if we're dealing with cops, most likely we're looking at where it's probably drugs involved, the movement of drugs, and maybe for them they're probably not robbing, but they could be, unless they're robbing drug dealers and stuff like that.
They definitely robbing. They definitely rob. And I got a story. I don't know if it's on this video right here, but I got a story about that specifically. The dude got robbed by a cop and he went to go complain in the, the place you're supposed to go do that. And he went through the whole process. And then years later, he saw the dude on TV and he was like, wait. And they was arresting the dude. It might be in this story because it was Baltimore. And the dude was like, wait, that's the dude that took my money that time. And they asked him, and they was like, how did you feel about that? He was like, I was pissed because how the hell, it's been 10 years since I fucking complained about this dude and it took him that long to get him.
Yeah.
Yes, they robbing niggas. And not only that, it has to do with getting cases because, you get promotions by how well of a job you do. If you have a good gang with you that can make it look like you're doing a good job, guess what? You're getting promoted. Your team gonna get promoted.
I mean, and I don't think it's just down to like the deputies. I mean, I think it's as high as like the chiefs.
Exactly. It has to be. It has to be because depending on which gang, I mean, and then if the important person gets promoted, within the gang, and he's still within the gang, so he gonna look out for his niggas. It's real simple.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, honestly, I really feel like they know that this crime is gonna happen one way or another, and like for most cops, it's like, shit, why don't I get in on some of this action, make me some money? Because I mean, honestly, this $18 or $20 or whatever I might be making, and then trying to, do these details to, in order to have a decent life. It's like, look, I mean, shit, a lot of them get involved in whatever angle they can get in,
because they see the criminals living all good, driving really nice cars, and then they working 60 plus hours a week to make, 60 a year or whatever. And then they like, man, fuck that.
Yeah.
You can't really blame them for thinking like that, but that's the capitalist society that we live in. The cops should be our society shouldn't be in a way where the cops feel like they need to do crime to live better. You know what I mean? It should be set up if they, if somebody decides that that's what they want to do in their career, they work for the public, then they should, be compensated.
I agree. I mean,
following the death of 25-year-old Freddie Gray and
them niggas, I know you had to hear about them Baltimore motherfuckers, bro, because they was off the fucking, they are off the fucking chain. The Baltimore Police Department.
I can't tell people not to be angry.
They motherfuckers are off the chain. This is what they doing. I think they more hardcore. They more hardcore than LA, I think.
Well, you know what? Honestly, I mean, those cops, I'm sure, are very
the federal government launched a
very
civil rights
active.
investigation,
But
and the
I'm gonna
officers
tell you,
who arrested Gray
the cops that I think are way more gangster than any others are these country towns.
Yeah,
but at the same time,
well, Baltimore is kind of country.
Scandal was brewing.
Well, I'm just saying, the small.
Yeah, the smaller.
During the chaos of the
small
protests,
country towns
police
that's
officer
really
named
not
Wayne
making money.
Jenkins was actively running a drug operation. He took prescription drugs that were stolen from looted pharmacies and resold them on the black market. But that's not all he was doing.
Wayne Jenkins was a sergeant in charge of a powerful unit of plainclothes detectives. Their job was to take firearms off the street. But this FBI evidence revealed that the officers operated as a gang within the police department, profiling residents, breaking into homes, stealing cash, trafficking drugs, and looting the city of overtime pay.
What didn't they do? What didn't they do?
Crooked cops around and doing bad things to people.
In 2017, 8 officers were arrested in one of the worst American police scandals in a generation. Fault lines returned to Baltimore in the midst of that scandal, which raised questions that communities across the U.S. have been asking for years. How do corrupt officers remain on the street? And who should police the police?
So these officers were finally caught. Who caught them?
The U.S. Attorney's Office, the feds.
The feds.
And that's...
Who else?
That's scary.
Yeah, who else?
Because
Why?
Because if an outside agency didn't step in, they'd still be out there.
Yeah. That's the only time they get in trouble is when the feds step in, and they hardly ever do. It have to be so egregious.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Wayne? What are you doing?
The FBI used wiretaps to close its case against Baltimore's corrupt cops. This is audio from those recorded phone calls.
I'm in a condo on Boston Street. It's okay. In a condo downtown. It's going to be looked at.
The detectives can be heard plotting their next crimes.
I got you. So what time you want to meet?
When their paychecks arrived, they bragged about stolen overtime.
Listen to this.
$13,000, B. Damn. Yep.
$13,000.
I've been on to work for like 4 hours. Right. When I looked at it, I said, oh my God, who did this?
$18,000 in overtime
As
pay.
the FBI closed in, the detectives joked about the brazen schemes of their boss.
What? Non-stop, huh? Yeah, he non-stop, yo. I mean, yo, he got method to his madness.
They didn't work them hours. It was faked hours.
Yo.
Their boss was putting the stuff in for them.
Hey, you know what? Let's enjoy it now. Get it hard now. Because all good things come to an end.
That's the voice.
We all should be mad. This is our money out of our
guilty
pocket.
To a host of robberies and a conspiracy to resell guns and drugs.
So this is Raham's plea agreement from 2017.
But Raham's plea revealed something even more shocking. He had committed crimes for nearly a decade.
He admits to crimes dating back to 2009.
2009.
Sometimes Detective Raham
Nigga been doing this shit since 2009
and robbed them on the side of the road. That's what happened to Gary Brown.
You gonna ask him what he doing? Get in the back. Hey, G, did I tell you the police took my money?
This the one I was talking about.
It was before you was born.
No.
Pet. This the one I was talking about. Oh, okay, yeah, this the guy I was talking about. Who?
No, I didn't get like that. That's the thing. That's why they hid. They just took the money, pulled off with it in the car.
What did you think when he told you that the police stole his money?
For some reason, I don't think they was police.
You don't believe they were actually police that stole his money?
Yeah.
Who do you think who do you think did it then? What do you think they were?
I think they were like imposters.
Imposters.
They were imposters.
They were?
It was 2009, and Brown was driving up this street in West Baltimore. He had cash in his trunk, which he planned to deposit at the bank. But before he could get there, Raham and two other plainclothes officers pulled him over.
He say, cut the car off and get out. So I cut the car off, I got out. He begins to go through the car, open the doors and all that, pop the trunk. He takes the cuffs off of me, say, come on, y'all, and the rest of his buddies get in the car and pull off. He didn't give me a citation, a contact slip. He didn't say nothing but bye.
The officers stole $11,000.
11 G's.
So Brown went to this building.
I gotta ask him, why did he have 11 G's in his trunk, though?
It doesn't look like it. This is actually the Internal Affairs building where residents are supposed to come and file complaints against officers. Total Office Interiors, Baltimore Stationery Company. It's like they're incognito.
Inside this building, the police department investigates its own officers.
Baltimore Stationery Incorporated,
or
or stationary company.
In Maryland and 22 other states.
You would think you're lost if you tried to go there.
The record is kept confidential.
Why do you think they made the building, the Internal Affairs building, so obscure?
The Internal Affairs Division does appear to have like this covert operation, right? I think that they believe we're conducting these top secret investigations. And so why would we want the public to come in here interfering with that? So that's a problem.
Yeah,
Internal Affairs has the power to discipline officers. But in cities across America, that rarely happens. When Brown was robbed, Baltimore's Internal Affairs Division ruled against officers only 7% of the time. These are the confidential files
7%.
in the investigation of Detective Raham.
Internal Affairs only 7% of the cases did Internal Affairs go against the officers.
Shocked that a cop's going to win a
7% of all cases.
No, I'm not. But this wasn't a he said, she said. Internal Affairs investigates it. They bring these guys in. They take statements. They take statements from Mr. Brown. They polygraph everybody. And Raham fails the polygraph. You know, did you rob this guy? No. Bzzz. Probability of deception greater than 99%.
Internal Affairs caught Detective Rayam and 2 of his colleagues in a series of lies.
Here we go. Allegations, misconduct, sustained. Misconduct general, sustained.
Rayam could have lost his job.
False statement, sustained. And neglect of duty, sustained. Should have fired him. He robbed somebody. He took a polygraph. He failed.
I would have got
That's not what
fired.
happened. Rayam appealed the ruling, and
Probably
the
was
trial
dealing
board
had
held
other
officers
issues that was
clear
going
him of
on that they
wrongdoing.
were getting sick of him
it's
about.
like getting caught
Because I mean,
No, this guy is telling that he didn't get fired. He failed polygraph, all this stuff. He didn't get fired.
You know what? Getting indicted.
So what I'm saying is, me and you would have got fired from our job if they would have came to us that way,
office has to come in and indict you off the street.
and we failed the polygraph and all this shit. They would have fired us.
Yeah.
And the public.
He didn't get fired. That's the reason he didn't get in trouble until he went to jail. They had the FBI had to get this guy.
Personnel records that are held confidential and not able to be released.
They're
to the public.
showing how
Officers
there
are
was
actually public
evidence that
servants.
this
They
dude
have
was
the public
crooked
trust, and they are of
within
course
the
there to
department,
protect
and they didn't do
serve
nothing
the
about it.
public. And so when they violate the public or are accused of violating the public, it's something the public should know.
Because the games
never
goes
got the
deeper
stolen
than
money
just
back.
the
And we didn't know
uniform.
that
It's
Rayam
like
had stayed
people
on
who are on the
force.
inside. Like, you gotta think about the people who are they work
And you
with.
never know.
And
I think they should make them all take pictures
I took my money.
of their
Rayam
tattoos
said
so
he
we can
sold
know.
drugs with another former police officer.
And how did you feel when you saw their mugshot on television?
Frustrated, upset, thinking I told him that. I went to Internal Affairs and told him he took my money 10 years ago and y'all just getting.
That's what I was talking about. You could tell he was really upset about it.
When you have people in the neighborhoods and you say, look, if these police rob you, they beat you, they plant drugs on you, this stuff, and we know they do. And we're going to send them back out there anyway. It's a reflection on the official stance that the city has on the value of their lives.
I
You know?
think it's a
And
part
that's
of the
problem, and that's
protocol
where riots come
in some of these precincts for you to actually violate the public.
Y'all supposed to protect.
So that's why a lot of it gets pushed.
Y'all ain't doing none of that.
They're not policing anything. They're just enforcing force.
Enforcing force.
They don't have no respect for us, so why should we have respect for them?
The corruption was not limited to Detective Rayam. After the 2015 uprisings here, the Department of Justice began a civil rights investigation of policing in Baltimore. The DOJ found that police here routinely violated people's rights, and Internal Affairs had enabled those abuses. In this report, the DOJ found that Internal Affairs almost never hold officers accountable in Baltimore. Between 2010 and 2015, they ruled against officers accused of serious misconduct only 2% of the time.
2%.
That's when it
Let's
gets
be
reported.
honest. This is not something that just exists here in Baltimore, but this whole, giving additional or extra deference to law enforcement, treating law enforcement
Immunity.
as if they're somehow above the law,
Yeah.
above the people.
Yeah.
It's just a culture. It's a
No,
mentality.
if you commit a crime, you committed a crime. It don't give a
During the
damn if
Obama
you're a police officer or
administration,
not.
Department of Justice Attorney Jonathan Smith
Fuck that immunity
revealed a
shit.
national trend. DOJ investigations of some 20
Yeah, I don't
American
believe in that
cities
shit either. But
found the
I mean,
police
that's
had
just
failed to police
that's
their
the way it
own.
is.
Finding that accountability systems are inadequate and broken, and that internal affairs is not designed to identify and address serious misconduct of police officers is a common finding in police department after police department after police department. What makes the scandal so serious and significant and political is that over time, the department has failed to address its own issues. It's had failed to engage the community, and mistrust has built up.
Reform. Reform isn't always pretty. It's messy sometimes.
This motherfucker.
In Baltimore, this man was hired to tackle the problem soon after the protests in 2015. Kevin Davis had a lot of work to do.
This place was a mess. There was no accountability here. The lack of
accountability and internal affairs contributed to making these guys the monsters that they turned out to be.
And you never know who's in and who's not, bro. There's no way to know.
Began to rule against accused officers more often.
I did my very best to identify some organizational terrorists that had horrific reputations in the community as being brutal and corrupt. And we did our very best to remove several of those police officers from the police department. And in fact, we did. I think in the year 2016 alone, I fired 22 police officers.
Okay, good job.
But 2016 was also the year that Sergeant Wayne Jenkins carried out some of his biggest heists.
You didn't catch that guy. Didn't fire that guy.
Hey, come downstairs right quick.
This video captures Jenkins and his colleagues trying to cover up a robbery.
Oh, this shit went viral.
Hold on. Take it out. Okay. Oh, there. Stop. Stop right now. Take a picture of it there or record it right now. Hold on. I need light. Somebody have a flashlight.
Just think about how bad it really was if they fired
That's
22.
Sergeant Jenkins telling his colleagues not to touch the money in the safe. But moments earlier, they had pocketed $100,000.
Were you getting a lot of complaints against these officers?
There were definitely a good number. Yes.
Don't touch the money, like old buddy from Training Day.
For 5 years before retiring in 2018.
Taxation without representation.
I heard that these guys are doing some really shady
Put your
things,
kids through college
as
with
have
that.
The people in the FBI task force.
You have a gun and cocaine, probably I would say 2 1/4 just by looking at it. I didn't touch it yet, up in the visor. And a gun. Danny, keep that on. I want you to go up and pull the visor down. You're going to see everything we've done.
This body cam footage shows how Jenkins and his crew operated. Many of their crimes began with a traffic stop and ended with allegations of planted evidence and home invasions.
See the cocaine up in the visor, and right after that,
That's why we
stuff is promoted.
see the handgun. Right
That's
there.
why we so scared of traffic stops. And that's the same reason why they shouldn't be able to just pull you over and fuck with you just because of your fucking
was dropped after the officers
car.
were arrested.
What role did this gun task force fill for city officials?
Numbers. They generated stats.
See, that's what I was talking about.
You know, guns on the table.
That's what I was talking about.
Dr. Graham, he pulled out the handgun and the cocaine.
They were making a lot of arrests. They were making probably weekly, if not daily, just ripping and running, snatching guns.
Police officials wanted to prove they could tackle the city's soaring homicide rate. So they championed the aggressive tactics of Jenkins and his squad.
When the political pressure comes,
aggressive tactics,
that's when guys like Wayne
meaning
Jenkins
planting
and
evidence.
that's when they can really excel.
But that's what I was saying earlier. Like
this
is stuff is not like they just just the cops' idea to do. No, this is a part of what the different precincts and.
Well, if you the boss, you don't care how they getting results necessarily.
Search warrants get drug.
You're like they was probably guilty of something. As long as you don't see it yourself, then you can wash your hands of it. As long as you're not aware of it. If they're bringing in numbers, you're like fuck it. You know what I'm saying? They're bringing in numbers.
While Jenkins committed crimes,
yeah, but no, I think a lot of times they are aware of it. They just don't give a shit. And, the chief, he probably was a cop at one time too. So it's kind of like he knows what kind of stuff is going down. All right, do what you got to do.
From Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, give me them numbers. Give me them numbers.
The reality of it all was that sergeant was, in fact,
that's the guy receiving accolades right before he gonna get arrested.
Hyper focused, as it should be, on who knew what and when, and if they didn't know anything at all, should they have known it?
Did you know that the gun trace task force officers had so many complaints against them?
Did I personally know? No.
Should you have known about the
should you have known
complaints?
That's what you talk about.
Detectives.
Watch his answer.
I'm going to shy away from the questions. Seem like they're getting into a lot of hindsight.
I think.
What kind of fucking answer was that?
Probably feeling that maybe they're invincible.
Still recording?
That became clear to Rodney Hill when he watched this surveillance footage in 2014. It showed Jenkins in the gray t-shirt searching this van. The officers wrote a report stating that drugs were inside. They used that claim to justify a search of this man's home. But this footage caught Jenkins in a lie. There were no drugs in the van. Hill recommended that Jenkins be demoted.
Got a little, I'd say maybe touchy, because there were people going, come on, man, this guy's doing this. Why are you guys messing with him?
Powerful people wanted Jenkins to stay on the street. Hill says one of the department's highest-ranking officials overruled him.
You see that?
Once left, my Shabo wasn't.
So this guy was a supervisor. He said this guy should be reprimanded. Somebody above him said, "Nah, let him."
Was not demoted.
Let him
These
slide.
guys were kind of getting a pass.
Yeah, I would say that.
It's not just a matter of a few bad apples. This is a culture of corruption that has been allowed to exist. And so I think the only solution is we have to have an independent body that's investigating and making disciplinary recommendations that are adhered to.
Joe Carter says the city's Civilian Review Board is supposed to do just that.
Civilian
9
Review
community
Board.
leaders are appointed by the mayor to oversee police investigations. But the board's
See how well
power
that'll
is
go for
limited.
you.
If the Civilian Review Board had had more power, I don't believe
Yeah.
the gun trace task force officers would have been allowed to get or able to get away with the offenses they committed.
You
in
need
the
somebody with
large
some
way that they
power
did for the length of time.
to go up
I know for
against
a
them,
fact that the Civilian
to
Review
check
Board
them.
had cases against at least 2 of the officers.
Civilian
in the gun
Review
trace
Board
task
is not
force,
going to get the
that they
job
had made
done.
recommendations,
You
but
need
those
a whole
recommendations
fucking
were
like
ignored.
agency or
The
whatever.
Civilian Review Board had
Well,
recommended
you
need
got
a
to think about
well-funded-
the rookies.
officers be fired. But the police didn't have to act on that
Yeah,
recommendation.
I
they're
think
well.
that's-
There
Oh,
is
definitely
no
well funded.
requirement that the Baltimore Police
But you got to
Department
think about it. I mean, a
follow the
lot of them are
recommendations
going along
of
to
the
get
Civilian
along
Review Board.
because,
There is
like,
not
even
even a
though like the
requirement
ones who may
that the
not
Civilian
actually
Review Board's
jump in and start
recommendations
doing a
are
bunch of the
weighted
crime,
in the ultimate decision
they
that's made
are still
about an officer's fate, whether
aware
it's
of it,
police.
and they know how it goes down because
For now,
the main
police
thing,
still
all right,
hold
even if
ultimate
they
power
don't
to police their own in
commit
Baltimore.
any crimes,
It's
those
a system
cops or
that
whatever,
enabled Sergeant Jenkins
they've
to
watched
remain on
crimes
the
happen,
street. In late
and
2016,
by their
Andre Crowder encountered
their
Jenkins
peers
in the
to
South Baltimore neighborhood of Cherry Hill.
I guess like their partners that might they on the
I'm like,
on the
what's going
beat
on,
with,
Uncle? Why you pull up
but
on me? You don't have a seatbelt on. At the
they're
time, I
much a
ain't
part
thinking
of it,
like,
even though they might not be acting on a lot of that
tinted
stuff,
windows. I
just
got
by
tinted
them not
windows.
speaking on
We're
what
on the
kind of
dark
stuff is
road.
actually happening.
Andre was arrested and booked for gun possession. He says the gun was planted in his car. Andre talked to his sister from jail.
You got to
that
think
day.
like the ones that's actually getting arrested,
Yeah,
like
we cleaning up the house.
they're
I'm like,
most likely
the
getting
house?
arrested or
Because they scapegoats or
Nigga,
something.
you know
They went too far. They pissed somebody off.
they
through the house,
they,
though.
they got to,
According
well
to Andre's
they
family,
were
Jenkins had searched their
bringing too
home
much
without a warrant.
attention, or that's like, all right, yeah, they got to
Whatever he
go. They doing
wanted.
too much. They're making us look bad, and we won't be able to continue what we've been doing if we allow them to keep fucking up in the middle
And see what
of
I can get out
neighborhoods where they
And
see what's
fuck
going
they
on
did.
now.
End
Already.
up on a little over 9,000 off of me. So
But Andre lost
So they went
more
to
than
his
money.
house. They arrested him.
While he was in jail,
Well, they pulled
his
him
3-year-old
over.
son Amir
And
was
then they went to his
hospitalized.
house. They arrested
After
him
3 days, Andre posted bail
and
on
didn't have
funds that would
nothing.
later
They went
be
to his
dropped.
house and took the money that they
He went straight
found.
to the hospital to see his son.
Then they had to let him go because they didn't have
Right
nothing on him.
already. And he was halfway through.
And his son just so happened to get sick and get into the hospital when he got arrested.
Shock trauma. That's
So
when
and he got
I
out
let
of
uncle,
jail, and I
then
mean
I came in and
his son
I
passed
realized
away. So
I'm
like
losing focus.
he got to miss that time with his son because the cops was fucking harassing him.
So my son passed 7 o'clock Saturday morning. Lost my child. I don't want to blame it on the situation, on the police, because that had nothing to do with my son's health. But that hindered me from spending those last moments with him. I've lost time that I can't get back.
Jenkins took over the unit while you were the commissioner.
Yeah.
Right?
What's up with
Do you
that?
accept some of the responsibility then?
Yeah.
For the fact that this happened
any police
while you
commissioner-
were the police commissioner?
Any police commissioner. So I accept responsibility as
Do
the
you?
commissioner of Baltimore for everything.
Whatever.
Everything. I'll take 100% of the blame for anything that happened under my tenure.
Why he look like he holding in a
Because that's what
turd?
leaders do. When
Like he holding what?
Like
Holding
that,
in a turd.
like he and others tarnished
Fucking
it.
fart.
It takes a long time to dig out of that hole.
Davis was replaced as police
Takes a
commissioner
long time to
earlier
get
this
out of that
year.
hole.
We still left the place better than we found it because things are now in place. Systems are now in place.
I hope that's
policies,
true.
and consent decree are now in place to make it better in the future.
So you think
hope
that
that's true.
Internal Affairs is in a place now to prevent another country's task force scandal from happening?
No, I never said that.
The Baltimore Police Department declined months of requests for an interview.
Yeah, you know they're not gonna talk. So what you think about all that?
I mean, you just gotta, really imagine, like, for us to be, just to even know this information, and even the stuff that like this is egregious stuff that's happening with the cops. You gotta really think if they're saying because we really know it's a much higher rate. If you really think about it, it's got to be a much higher rate. But if what was the percentage they gave of one of crimes that was even reported was what 4%?
I don't know.
So that means honestly, we should probably say 40%, 10 times of whatever that's actually been reported. There's 10 times that amount that's actually happening. That's things that's not being reported because I mean, really, honestly, there's probably out of all the cops, we're probably looking at mostly 90% of criminal activities by police officers. But if they're saying that the 2%, 4%, whatever it was that was reported, there's probably there's probably more around it, 40% of crimes that they already know about. That's just not no big deal. I don't know. And look, maybe that's my conspiracy theorist side of me, but it's happening way more than what they're saying or going to say.
And that it goes with what I'm saying, because like I say, it was so hard for me to research this shit. And look at this shit. I'm looking up this like 7 months ago and years ago and shit. Like they suppressed this shit. It's happening. Why aren't there stories about it? This the kind of shit that people, because there's a story. I mean, I don't know. I have the video, but I don't know which one it is. But the chick, was harassing this lady. She created a whole database related to the gangs. I believe it was in the Los Angeles Police Department. And she showed their gang signs. She showed their tattoos, the names of all the stuff that she had gathered. And since then, she has to walk around with a bulletproof vest. She has security, and she receives death threats on a regular basis.
Well, I know, like I listen to Tariq Nasheed's radio show from time to time, and there's actually a way to kind of report different activities that's going on in the neighborhood, stuff that of course the mainstream media is not going to report, and where you can actually put in, like, for your area where you live, the type of stuff that's going on, so that it's a database for the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to look at different areas in the country, states of these different crimes that's going untalked about, or that we have our own source of data that we can use, or get a better understanding of what's going on in that community. So I think I'll have to look up that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, whatever it is, yeah, we need to say what it is so people can know, so they can use it.
Yeah.
If you could try to look that up, I'm gonna play a little bit of this. I think that I might get in trouble for playing this. Shit, I'm gonna get in trouble for that. Anyways, so what'd you think about that?
Yeah, man. I mean, I know she was being lighthearted about it. She's, making as a joke, but I mean, honestly, I mean, I guess there's different ways you can look at it. Because I mean, even without the tax money, the United States makes enough money for a lot of these things to happen with or without our tax money. So, I mean, that's, a bunch of it is just politics, but if they really want to do it, it's going to get done. If it's some bullshit they trying to, use as, oh, we really trying to help the people, and they're saying, say, oh, well, you know what I'm saying, because it's going to be a back and forth at this point, but a lot of these things could be solved by even just having the corporations just like chip in. Look, okay, you don't want it to be you paying taxes, just donate some shit to the fucking country that you fucking gained your wealth from. You know what I'm saying?
And the whole thing is so ridiculous. I think if the American people really knew how things were and the way how bad they're getting screwed, I think it would be like a revolution overnight, man.
No, people,
they don't. I don't think they know, because, like, look, let me give you an example. You know that most of the drugs that they come up with are mostly subsidized by the government, and that's comes from tax money. So, and then then a private person gets a patent to this drug, and then has the ability to sell it to us at any price. And the American government, is the only government that doesn't have the power to negotiate pharmaceutical prices. So not only did the American people pay for these drugs to be produced, but then a private person owns them, and then they get to price gouge the American people off of them paying for that fucking drug to even be fucking made.
Well, I mean, they do have the right to negotiate, but the problem is that when they do negotiate, they're negotiating an under-the-table deal so that the company can still make the kind of money that they wanted to make, with the only, where the American people only have to contribute a certain amount. It's still, like, regardless, like, when they're negotiating, they're still negotiating with, okay, we'll pay you up front a certain amount if you only charge the American people this amount to come from their pocket, which is still, they're still negotiating with tax dollars. I mean, that's just what it is. Or, whatever revenue that you can say that that they have access to use for that, it's still the same thing. You're still paying for it, whether the government is paying for it, up front for the people, or
and that's what I say. It's so crazy because the corporations are totally okay with socialism, because they're okay with receiving all these subsidies from the government, from you know what I'm saying, to help them do their business. But for the American people, they're like, oh no, socialism is bad for you guys. It's good for us, but it's bad for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Unless you want to become a communist, because the thing is, after paying for those drugs to be made, the American public should own those drugs.
Well, and that's really what I mean, to charge at all really because is somewhat insane, because I mean the cycle is just, you know, really they're making the cycle, you know, where did they even, you know, just for you coming up with an idea for a drug that, you know, God already gave us, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, yeah, maybe you put together these different chemical compounds and this, that, and the other, but we probably pay for for them to go through those you know, for them to do all their testing and this, that, and the other. We most likely paid for that too. You know, a lot of the scientists are getting grants from the government to be able to go do all this stuff, but now they done figured it out, so they slide and get patents for something that
it's usually not one of the scientists that get the patents. It's going to be,
well,
you know,
whoever's heading that organization that the scientist is a part of.
Yeah, it's going to be some kind of organization, and they're going to be like, yeah, you know, and they're going to also put money into it. So that's why they're going to say, well, we should own it because we put the most amount of money into it. Well, they put the most amount of money from themselves as an individual donor, but they didn't put the most amount of money into it because the government always, almost always, puts more money into it.
Yeah.
So, and it's like I say, I don't think the American people know this because they don't understand these kind of details and how bad they're getting screwed.
Well, you know, they may not know all of the details, but it's one of those inherent things that, I mean, because when you talk to people, it's just like, you know, it's like, okay, why are you even telling me? Like, yeah, we know that this is corrupt. They do this, that, and the other, and it's just a way to explain it away that they're just, you know, like, this is just the way it is.
I hate that argument too, man. That makes me the most mad. Like, I be wanting to slap people when they say that shit. Like, you know, with the person that says I don't care, I can't argue with them. But the person that says, oh, this is just the way it is, or just the way it's always been, or, you know what I'm saying, there's nothing you can do about it. That's the person I want to slap, because I feel like, come on, man, like, you know, you can't believe that. And the way thinking that way is how they're able to continue to do what they do. They got so many of us out here just thinking that we're helpless. There's nothing we can do about it. And it's the way things have been and the way things are going to be. Like, it just sucks, and it's going to always suck. You know, I don't agree with that. And I can't wake up. I can't think like that, because if I think like that, then what's the point in even doing anything?
Well, and it almost goes to, like, why is it even you know, we the people? Because we the people, there's very few of us that really is like, okay, look, we have to do something about this. You know, you know, if we don't change this, if we don't fight for this, if, you know, like, yeah, we can go protest about this, that, and the other, but there's things that's happening really all the time that I think a lot of it boils down to having the right people in office and them knowing that, you know, if they're not doing the right things, that they ass gonna be out on the street next term or some shit like that. But nobody, you know, not enough people are actually even concerned with that type of stuff. Like, they get out there, they'll go vote because they've been manipulated by the media to say that, you know, well, if you don't get this person in, then, you know, this other person's gonna get in, and they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that.
I just think that the political side is only one prong to it. And, you know, and I agree with you, the protesting ain't doing shit. They don't give a damn about that. But there's other ways. I think that you have to attack it as many ways as you can. And I think we the people, you know, there's a place, where is it? Is it Yemen? I want to say Yemen. Like, they haven't had like a functioning government in a long ass time. And it's not good. Don't tell me. I mean, I'm not trying to say that this is good, but the people have created their own systems. You know what I'm saying? For hospitals and for basically whatever they need. You know what I'm saying? Because they had to, because they didn't have no functioning government. So, but that shows that people can actually do these things. We can set up systems, organizations, institutions to take care of our needs. You know what I'm saying? Pool our money together and do it.
Well, I mean, that's really what it means to be a republic, is that, you know, you do govern yourself. You put the things in place. I mean, that's kind of what, I mean, that's pretty much what the government did. I mean, they manipulated, you know, a lot of the funds that was, you know, that is generated by the government, and then they slickly got people to actually start paying taxes on stuff that they shouldn't even have to pay taxes on. But and then they're probably most likely dividing that up between each other, because it really doesn't have anything to do with, you know, the funds that actually meant for the government. Shit, I mean, it's a crazy cycle. I honestly don't know what we could, you know, what to do, because regardless of how much, you know, you try to ring every bell and, you know, set off whatever alarms you can, and it's just people is just like, you know, they've thrown their hands up. It's like, oh well, I mean, it just is what it is. You
I
know,
know.
even though that's one of my favorite mottos, you know, it is what it is. But there's certain things where you gotta cut it off and not allow it to
Yeah.
be, you
Your
know.
full philosophy on life, because there's some things you got to fight for. Did
Yeah.
you find the information that we needed to share? Whatever.
No, I was looking it up. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find that on Google. I don't think that's something that
Okay. Well, I don't want to put y'all to sleep, but I want to talk about socialism some more, because it's all kind of related. I think that with the police, when we was talking about the gangs within the police department, and when they talk about defund the police, I think one of the things that could happen is, you know, some of their funding, use that funding to fucking investigate them. Is a totally different outside entity, third party, and make sure that they know that the funding for that third party is coming out of their budget. And, you know, and use that third party to investigate them and hold them accountable for, you know. And so that's kind of related to what I'm going to roll into, the whole ideas of socialism, because distributing the wealth, if you will, you know what I'm saying? What were you was about to say something? What were you gonna say?
No, well, I guess really a lot of, you know, to expect that, you know, you could even with a third party, you know, you got to think first of all that these police precincts, units, gangs, you know, they all are like they're a part of the system. They protect each other on one end or the other. So you're asking people to roll on the people who protect them in the bullshit that they do. And, you know, like I said, I mean, for the ones that they actually get arrested or they, you know, come down on and get rid of, they, you know, the only reason why that happens is because they was playing outside of their game, and that was their way to punish somebody who might have been stealing from them.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. But what I'm saying, a third party is someone that's not involved. They're not police or nothing, you know. And we can maybe we can choose who those people are or whatever. Like have a citizen council or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's something that you have to sell me on more, that it can actually work, because a lot of these different systems are supposed to be in place to keep the corruption down throughout the system. But when everybody in it is corrupt, it's going to be a hard deal to get anybody to comply. Even, and then, since you can be, a lot of people can be bought up, because shit, extra money. So you mean tell me if, that, y'all going to donate this amount of money to us, and if we sweep this under the rug, like, it's just, and we're still looking at, I mean, all these people are humans. All these people are Americans. These are all people that, what I'm saying, have taken the road they're taking because it's easier for them to get away with their criminal minds working in the system.
Yeah, but it's something to try. We have to do that, and that's the thing I've been saying about for the longest. We want to find excuses to do things instead of having excuses not to.
No. I'm with you. I believe me. I know. I don't. I mean, I we definitely need to. I'm totally in agreement with you. And to find the people who have the integrity to actually uphold something like that is what I think we're going to have.
And that's why I say I think the future of politics is going to be like that lady I showed from Buffalo. I think the future of politics is going to be those regular folks like that, because we don't trust politicians. Therefore, anybody that has like a political history or was destined to be a politician, what I'm saying, we're going to want regular folks. You know what I'm saying? Regular Joe Blows.
Yeah, no, it's going to actually take people like that that's just like sick and tired, and actually, they have their careers, and they're like really have to say, something's got to be done, and the only person that's going to do it is me, because that's, I mean, that's the way that's going to have to happen. More people are going to have to say, you know what, and I mean, these jobs come with salaries, so I mean, if you can get in and it can actually take over what you've been doing. Like,
but that's the problem too. I did a story about that. For a lot of these political jobs, the salaries ain't shit, and that's the reason why most of these people have other jobs too, because they can't live the way they want to with the money off of,
or accept monies from different places.
Exactly. So it breeds corruption where these people aren't getting paid. They have to work second jobs and so forth and so on. You're not getting paid until you get up there to Congress or House of Representatives or something. The regular small, or if you're a governor, if you're in the governor's mansion, stuff like that. The regular, almost everybody else, they're not making the money. Like not even enough to pay their bills. They all have to have second jobs. So a lot of those people they're either in it because they love it, or they're, in it to try to do this thing on the side type thing. So again, you need to pay these people. You have to pay these people. You know what I'm saying? Make it so where they can just have that as their job.
But just think about it. Just think about this. If because I think some of these salaries are set the way they are, is to be able to control them.
That's what I'm saying.
Just so like this minimum wage being the way it is.
Exactly.
They can't really, if everybody's comfortable with what money that they're making with doing their job, and they don't need to look outside of doing, what I'm saying? Like, a lot of this stuff is set up already because they want to be able to control, be able to have some leverage over you.
Yep. Completely agree. That's the whole reason why the whole system is the way it is, because they extract, they extract your energy because you're on a lower level, and they leverage their capital. So they take advantage of you because you're in a disadvantaged position because you don't have the capital.
And a lot
It's
of people,
real simple.
I think a lot of people start out wanting to do the right thing, but then once you're in to that certain job or whatever, it's really, okay, well, this not enough, that's not enough. I don't have enough time to do this, take on another job and blah, blah, blah. And then you start thinking about your family eating and this, that, and the other, then you end up joining forces with the rest of the criminals.
It's so sad. So, at the risk of putting y'all to sleep, this video is only 6 minutes, y'all. And I'm probably not gonna play the whole thing, but check it out.
America is a strangely right-wing country. No universal health care, no universal child care, poor labor protections. Everyone knows this. But why is that? Well, if you look at American history, you actually find a pretty interesting reason. Unlike other industrialized countries, America never really had a powerful socialist movement. Compare that to Europe. In the 19th and 20th centuries, every country in Europe saw a huge socialist party develop. The Social Democratic Party in Germany, the Labour Party in the United Kingdom, the Socialist Party in Belgium. In countries like Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, parties with socialist roots governed for decades. Now, none of these countries ever became fully socialist. Instead, socialist parties and their allies built well-functioning social democratic institutions. It's what they called the European way. Universal health care, generous welfare programs, free education, and strong protections for labor. But
We don't have none of that.
Transformation never happened in the United States. Now, to be fair, the U.S. did see a fairly strong progressive movement in the late 19th and early 20th.
It's like, why we can't have that stuff? It's so crazy, man. It's like talking to a wall.
Radical Reconstruction, which W.E.B. Du Bois called dictatorships of the proletariat, and the leftist Populist Party, which won 5 states in 1892. There were even 2 members of the Socialist Party elected to Congress, and in 1912, Eugene Debs, the socialist presidential candidate, received a full 6% of the national popular vote. The American socialists were successful enough that in 1906, the leader of the German Social Democratic Party predicted that Americans will be the first to usher in a socialist republic.
He was wrong.
So why did the American left never gain power like the European left did? There are a few schools of thought about this. The most famous view, that of the German economist Werner Sombart, suggests that Americans were too prosperous and wealthy to believe in socialism.
No.
All socialist utopias, he said, came to nothing on roast beef and apple pie. Socialism needed workers to live close together to form working class institutions. It could do that in places like Berlin,
That's
London,
very
or
racist.
Paris, but not so much in sprawling America. Even as the country urbanized in the 20th century, it also suburbanized. Suburban sprawl promoted anonymity and atomization rather than the sense of community and solidarity that socialism needs.
And this is
to
one
take root.
important.
Denser places like the Lower East Side of New York.
They like to
at one point,
separate
the most
us.
densely populated place on
They
Earth,
don't like us to
were
be able to
hubs of
communicate.
socialism,
And
radicalism of all shades.
they scared we're
The
gonna
vast
form
majority of
unions and
places
shit.
weren't like that. And the fact that there was so much land also meant that workers were constantly moving in search of better jobs. As late as the 1960s, about 20% of Americans moved every year. That rate of moving was way higher than in most European countries. And that central struggle, unifying and organizing a disparate working class, was made more difficult by a lot of other problems. Another source of division was occupation. Early attempts to form unifying working class organizations across different levels of skill, like the Knights of Labor in the 1880s, were destroyed by state terror and repression. There were also cultural and political distinctions that made building a party of the working class impossible. The fact that America had universal or near universal male suffrage at a relatively early date decades before the United Kingdom, prevented voters from polarizing on class lines. That's part of why, in the 19th and 20th centuries, many of the most dedicated socialists in America were Europeans importing socialist traditions from their home countries. It's no surprise that socialism tended to be strongest in immigrant communities, among Germans, Scandinavians, and Finns in the Midwest, and among Jewish immigrants in New York. And all of these difficulties in building a broad-reaching socialist coalition were compounded by the structure of American politics. Even today, think about how many times you've seen a friend on social media begging people not to vote third party because it will take away votes from another candidate. And this difficulty was made worse by the brutal repression of socialists, violence by state troops and private police forces against unions in the 19th and 20th centuries, the first Red Scare of 1919 to 1920, which saw many radicals jailed or deported, and then the second Red Scare of the 1950s, which saw socialists and communists blacklisted and fired. Even now, people who consider themselves communists are banned from immigrating to the United States. But the question isn't really why America never became a socialist country. After all, neither did any of those European countries. The real question is why, after the Democratic Party briefly became a social democratic party in the 1930s and 40s, America has been without any party pushing not just socialism, but any sort of redistribution to help ordinary people. That is the most bizarre absent feature of America. But of course, history isn't destiny. Denied opportunity their whole lives, forced into dead-end jobs, facing mountains of debt and grim prospects, more and more Americans, especially young ones, are identifying as socialists. Socialism never took root in America before, but that doesn't mean it can't now. This is Emma Vigeland.
What'd you think about that?
It makes me think more like one of the reasons, like, I mean, of course, if this was something that was wanted by the elite, it would have happened. But that whole idea of McCarthyism, like they promoted that to make it seem so evil because, like, that's the propaganda at its best,
right?
To you know, form a certain mindset about what socialism is from their, you know. They're given a perspective of what the, you know, how horrible it is and this, that, and the other, so that, you know, they can keep people in the state that they're in right now.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I guess the other thought that I had is that the countries that actually do have, you know, more of a socialist ideal, what's the greatest makeup of those countries?
Anglo-Saxon.
Enough said.
Yep. So yeah, that's why I said I think racism is a big reason why socialism hasn't taken root in America. They don't want it's really about, like, I don't want them to have the same stuff as me. That's really all it is. I don't want them to have it. If they get it, no. I don't want to have the same shit as them. I deserve to have better shit than them.
Exactly. And that's the root of it. I mean, you know, if they can't, you know, for one, I mean, you know, the whole fake idea of superiority is, you know, they have to maintain that in some form in order for them to even feel like
it's so
something.
Sad. And that's so sad. I think that's the curse of America, because you what they say, there's no justice on stolen land. There's no peace in a country born out of blood, you know, the blood of the natives, you know.
Yeah, but you know, I think that, I mean, honestly, if we really, because I mean, not to say that that's what I'm truly promoting per se, but the same way that people's rights got taken and stolen is the only way that they can be transferred back to those people. You know, I mean, most of us are not as brutal as the people who did it to begin with, but in order for there to truly be some peace, you almost have to do the same thing that those people did for them to have their peace, or for them to be in the status and that they're in. You know what I'm saying? So
it's so sad, bro. And what I say about this is both sides suffer as a result. We are all suffering as a result. And you can see it in some of those old slave movies, where it's just a different kind of suffering. But, you know, if you're living in the conditions where you got people who are owned and they're getting mistreated, like the thing is, we're humans. We're pack animals. We have connections with each other. You know, one of the things, you know how like when somebody looks at you from behind, it's like, you know, when you turn around and look at them, or if somebody just like looking directly at you, you just look up and just lock eye contact with them and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff is all left over from us, our evolution, and us being herd animals, you know? So we also can feel each other, because that's how those herds are able to, you know, be aware of danger, like quickly, because you can feel the stress of someone who's in your vicinity. You know what I'm saying? Especially if they're under real duress, it's gonna at least make you cringe. You can feel it emanates an energy.
Well, that's really simply is more just that energy that we all have the power to detect. I mean, it's, you know, regardless of what energy you're feeling, in most cases, I mean, you're gonna be able to feel, you know, because somebody may not be looking at, you know, when a chick is feeling you and she been checking you out, you know what I'm saying, you're a lot of times you're able to kind of recognize that. And even somebody who has some ill will, you know, you feel a certain energy, like, you know, a protective, you know, something where you feel like you need to protect yourself. So I mean, that transfer of energy is happening all day every day, so it's not really, you know, just when it's negative, you know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
period. Yeah, that's just period. So I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's physics.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, when you have all this brutalized type of suffering, you know, people being used like cattle, you know, living in horrible conditions, like just the smell of it alone would probably bother you. You get what I'm saying? Everybody is suffering. Everybody involved is suffering. It's like I say, Babylon. In Babylon, everybody conforms to misery. No one gets to escape it.
Yeah, the majority. I mean, there's some people who are actually able to live outside of that realm, but I'm sure the people those who are even enforcing that type of lifestyle have to be stressed out from even,
That's
you
what I'm
know.
saying. You're gonna
Yeah.
lose a part of your humanity, or you like I say, people who take on the identity of white is losing their ethnicity. You know, all the different stuff, you're gonna be losing something to gain. You know what I'm saying? Like we said, the number one law is you have to gain something, you gotta lose something. You know what I'm saying? And one side is not gonna be the same as the other side, but the amount of energy transfer is gonna always be equal. So that means that, like I say, the suffering, everyone is suffering in their own freaking way.
Well, and in order to receive, you have to give. But if your way of exchange is taking, people are going to take from you as well. So it really kind of depends on, the negative or, positive. If you want to be able to, be on the positive side of things, you have to be a giver in order to be able to receive, just like, for things to be given to you as well. But if everything has to be taken,
but
it's
you have
going
to
to
think
do it in
about that.
reverse.
Think about it in metaphysics, because like, okay, so if you're a slave master or whatever, then you're taking something from those slaves, So then what? So then what gets taken from you? And then you think about that, because you're taking like their life, you're taking like their culture away from them, you're taking like their language, you're taking their descendants away from them, all their rights and shit. So what are you losing? Because metaphysics, the law, there's no breaking the law. You know what I'm saying? The universal laws can't be broken.
No, exactly. Those are what true laws are. You know what I'm saying? Like, true laws can't be broken. God's law, universal law, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, those are the real true laws. Any other laws that we've created, man have created, I mean, yeah, they can be broken, but there's more, I guess, different penalties to that. But that's the thing. I mean, that's the main laws that they're breaking are, universal laws. So I mean, their karma is gonna meet them again. Because I mean, everybody has karma. You get good karma, bad karma. And that was kind of the same thing what I was explaining, the giving and taking. Like, you can give, but you can also be able to receive without, it being a theft. Like, you can gain from giving in a, and I guess in a better, it's better to do it where it's you giving more, you giving a certain amount where you end up just receiving, or you can be the type that, well, I gotta take because somebody's gonna take from me. I guess kind of, I don't know. That's some people have accepted that, that's their dynamic in life, is that because they feel like somebody's going to end up taking it from them, so they take first.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? Just, it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, I know. I personally know a few people that fits in that philosophy.
Yeah.
I gotta take a potty break. I'm gonna play some of this. It's on the racial side. Check it out.
Mute.
A fringe.
Their narrative gonna go. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of let them just be, and you be.
It's gonna make them look silly as hell walking around.
Exactly. Go look. If you think you're doing
don't nobody
something,
paying no attention to them, they're gonna make them look silly as fuck.
Yeah, if you feel like you're really doing something with your tiki torch, and you know what I'm saying, like, you giving them the energy to boost up their whole agenda. You know what I'm saying? Like, if those other folks hadn't involved themselves in it, like, it wouldn't have gotten the notoriety that it had. It'd have been those 300 people or however many people amongst themselves, promoting themselves to themselves, where when other people come and getting involved, the news come out. Now you're promoting the narrative all across the nation that something that's really so minute. You talking about, like, especially with that group, okay, it's 300 people. Okay, 300 people versus 340 million people. Like, that's nothing. That's not even a percent of people. I don't know. Like I said, people get angry with me because I mean, I don't necessarily
go with the
along
narrative.
with the bullshit.
Yeah. So like, and it's always good to question, and it's always good to keep looking at it from all different kinds of angles. And a lot of times, whatever view the media is telling you is probably the opposite of what it is. but that may not be the case. That's the reason why you have to, that's the reason why you have to actually, dig through the shit.
Justice Department because of on my life. So
yeah, so
you can send a few people to really see what's going on. You don't have to be another, like enough, another 300 people where, damn, there's intimidation now, from a whole nother group where, a riot breaks out or some form of fight starts. You send 1 or 2 spies in, and that way you can see what, somebody who can really tell you what the concerns are, what the, and you move on. You go back and report it. If it's a real problem that you need to deal with, you without them even knowing you've been there.
Well, what I want to talk about now is like cults, because I think that America, the United States, we're like a big cult. And that's the reason why we have so many cults over here. And then we got cults that we don't identify as cults. Like science. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, I think that there's a lot of cult activity that goes on in the United States. And it's because we're very primed to be cults. And we're like, we're open to it from little bitty kids. Because as soon as we're little kids, they start training us to be,
a part of a group.
Yeah, easily co-opted into a cult. And I think that like also the brainwashing, the overall brainwashing, I posted on Instagram about how like I feel like, everybody's under a spell. It's like a magic spell, seems like, everybody's under. And it seems like only a few people can see, that everybody's under a spell. Only a few people can see that, this shit is fake. So, yeah. But that also kind of goes along with the cult thing. It's kind of like magic, right? Like a spell. It's kind of like what a cult leader does to you. They put you under a spell.
Now, of course, we have to look at it in perspective that, cult is the root word of culture. So, of course, there could be bad cults, and there's also good cults. So we have to really kind of put that in perspective. So, what kind of cult are like we're looking at it on the negative? I'm assuming.
Definitely having to do with brain. The connection that I want people to make is that what cults do on a small level is what propaganda brainwashing can be done on large levels with larger groups of people.
All right, because I mean, how do you feel about occults?
I don't have no feeling about it. Usually, a cult is just mean like secret knowledge or whatever, something that's trying to be hidden. Yeah,
it's mostly just unknown because a lot of it is not necessarily just hidden. I mean, I guess to a certain extent you might say it's hidden, but it's just stuff that's unknown to the average person. Yeah,
right. And a lot of it is really related to everything that we do today, and then we don't even know it. So, anyways, we could talk about this as this goes. It's this guy here. He decults people or whatever, however you want to say that. He saves people from cults, which is no small thing. It's no small thing. It's a very, very difficult thing to do, to kind of like deprogram somebody, because the cults usually don't have no chains. They don't lock the people up. They got them mentally fucked. So they, even if you take them away from the cult, they'll run away and go back to it,
Yeah.
So to get them free, you have to get them free mentally. So that's what this guy does. So
well, I got to take care of some business, but I will be listening.
Okay. So, all right.
Go ahead.
All right.
I'm still listening. I got my headset on.
All right, bet.
I really don't want to say where I'm at, but hello. I'm Rick Allen Ross. I'm a cult deprogrammer, and I've been helping people escape cults since 1982. Today, I'll be breaking down clips from TV and film about cults. This clip is from The Vow.
Our main emphasis, our main belief is to have people experience more joy in their lives.
What does it mean if you're integrated? You're joyful. And part of it was like, this is cool. This is a code to understand myself.
Anyone can be captured by a cult. I've deprogrammed 5 medical doctors. How does that happen? If you're in a position where you're isolated, you're alone, you're hurting, you're worried, and a group comes along and says, look, we've got the answers. We can help you. They've got to have something good. Otherwise, no one would be taken in by them.
Keith developed a model called rational inquiry. We refer to rational inquiry as a technology.
It was a process designed to produce quantifiable results.
The premise of rational inquiry, as presented by Nexium, was that this is a panacea. This is a cure-all. You can make more money, be higher functioning. The problem with Nexium is that wasn't all they were up to. They were breaking people down in order to change them. This is typical of what's called large group awareness training organizations, where they bring people together in a kind of seminar setting. And what we're talking about is a kind of process that goes on day after day after day. During this time, you are constantly with other Nexium devotees. You're constantly hearing their jargon. You may not be getting enough sleep. You may not be eating right. You're kind of getting worn out. And at the same time, you're being subjected to a kind of inquisition in which the group expects you to cathartically divulge everything about yourself. What is your ultimate pain? All of this leads to a point of exaltation and a kind of epiphany. And from that point forward, you may be hooked. Midsummer.
He's going to analyze scenes from popular movies and compare them to cults and see how well they did to real.
First of all, when you watch Midsummer, it's a depiction of a kind of pagan, secretive, ritualistic cult. And this is really kind of overamped. But what's interesting about this clip that really resonates, that's real, is that the woman sees something terrible and she reacts to it spontaneously. And then what the group does is they encapsulate her and then they mimic her. And what they're doing by mimicking her pain is they're, in a sense, dismissing her. And she's no longer an individual. She's part of a collective. And what we see in that particular scene is as they're breathing in unison and voicing their grief together, there's a kind of rhythm to it.
That's important.
It can become hypnotic and it can become mood altering and it can be a trance-inducing. And so this becomes a avenue of manipulation.
Yep.
And many groups will handle things in different ways.
Think about popular
general
music.
Pathway is to lose your sense of individuality, autonomy, critical thinking, your ability to analyze alone. Instead, you need to be dependent upon the group to experience this with you, to guide you in your perception of what it is that you're seeing. And that's what you're seeing in that scene. It's very real. Once upon a time in Hollywood.
So George gave you all permission to be here,
Of course he did.
and you all take care of him?
Oh, we take care of George.
Yeah, Charlie Manson had his cult, the family, out at Spa Ranch. And yes, there was a man named George at the ranch. But what's interesting about this clip is this is how cult compounds function. People that want to visit someone that is under the control of the cult may find it very difficult.
And I'd like to think like my daughter would be stronger
Can't see him right now.
than to be taken in by somebody like Charles Manson.
Excuses are made.
I don't know.
Oh, they're away, they're shopping, they're busy.
You never
and
know,
The idea
because,
is
I mean,
to separate them.
they're
and
usually pretty
isolate them
charismatic.
and keep them within the group control. What you see is this we-they dichotomy, where we are the elect, we're the group, and outsiders are really not welcome. The way that the women confronted Brad Pitt, the way they all looked at him, and their body language, it's very typical of many cult groups in that it illustrates their single-mindedness and that they're reinforcing each other.
Single-minded.
Charlie Manson weaponized women to kill people, and they could be ferocious. So yes, there were women that would serve as guards, and then they would do whatever he wanted them to do. Charlie says.
Well. What do we have here?
Gypsy said Leslie would be happier with you.
Gypsy, my baby gypsy.
What you see in this clip is this recruitment, this seduction process. You know, Charlie Manson was very charismatic. He could be very charming. He could seem so in the moment, so spontaneous. But in reality, everything was very carefully planned by Charles Manson.
Yeah, these people are calculation, narcissistic, perfectionists.
The mirroring exercise is just to basically get her to let him
There's a
take
group
charge.
that I think of when I
Find her.
hear stuff like this. That's current.
Beautiful brother Bobby.
That's the point. That's why I'm playing this.
That's what they'll tell me. Sadie's made love to Bobby, right?
I guess we all make love to him at this point, huh?
Sex is being used as a lure. Cults do this all the time. There have been a number of groups, like Children of God, that would do what they called flirty fishing.
Gypsy told me all about you and the family.
I can't take her.
Charlie, I think we should let her stay. She digs us and she's hungry.
She's caught up in this idea that this is a privilege. This is a wonderful thing that this group is offering her a place.
You like her, you teach her. You keep an eye on her and you see if she belongs with us.
You don't want new members talking to new members. You want a new member talking to someone who's very experienced, he can rely on, that will bring this person in deeper.
Then you can stay.
I don't think in this film that you can see the intensity that Charlie Manson really had. He had a way of looking at people that was so...
I watched a lot of interviews of that guy. He wasn't an idiot, bruh.
Waco.
He had some shit to say. I watched a lot of videos of him talking. I used to be into like serial killers and shit like that. I used to study that shit.
They've captured the charisma of David Koresh. He was a very charismatic, very
Koresh was something else.
Compelling leader. What you're seeing is how he can be self-deprecating, humble, and that people are taken in by this. He made such extreme demands on people for husbands to give up their
and it's
wives,
so many
for
groups that are
wives
exactly
to have
like
sex with him,
the Waco.
for mothers to give him their minor children.
Yeah.
And I think if he had been less demanding, but as charismatic as he was, he would have had a much larger following.
Yeah.
You got your law degree from Harvard.
He
was that enough for you?
He demanded to have sex with all the women.
I think what David Koresh
and like it didn't matter what age they were.
Our notions that intelligent, sophisticated,
or if they were married or not,
would not.
Yeah, or if they were married or not, it didn't matter.
Mistaken.
And the husbands went along with it.
Professor of
Yeah.
theology. You lived with your wife Judy in paradise on the beach in Hawaii. Enough?
Not even close.
Not even close.
He's using these examples of these people to glue them in to the compound. Are you questioning my understanding of the Bible? How can you do that if Steve doesn't do it? They don't see it as I have given up everything for the leader. And I speak as someone who deprogrammed 2 Waco Davidians. You have no idea how total their commitment was. They were literally willing to die for him. And of course they did in the end.
That story is really sad.
Master. Excuse me. Some of it sounds quite like hypnosis. Is it not?
This is a process of dehypnotization, if you will. Man is asleep. This process wakes him from his slumber.
The Master is loosely based on the
Hypnosis.
history of L. Ron Hubbard and the Church of Scientology. When
I was
the man
wondering if they were going to bring
questioning
that
him
up
says it looks like hypnosis,
because that's what I
isn't it
think of.
hypnosis? The most obvious explanation is yes, it's hypnosis. So this is really opening up the hood and seeing the mechanics of how the Master really manipulates people.
You've also said that these methods, cause methods, can cure leukemia, according to your book. And
Some forms of leukemia. In being able to access past lives, we are able to treat illnesses that may have started back thousands, even trillions of years.
If you make a claim that cannot be proven, but it doesn't require me to do anything, like you say, Santa Claus is real, it's your belief, fine. But when you start asking me for money and you start asking me to believe you and support you and do volunteer work for you and everything, I have a right to ask, how do you prove that?
I find it quite difficult to comprehend, or more to the point, believe that you believe, sir, that time travel hypnosis therapy can bring world peace and cure cancer.
I have never been to the pyramids. Have you?
No.
And yet we know that they are there because learned men have told us so.
You really want to watch that. Did he answer my question or did he evade my question? Is he using tactics on
This
me,
is so
being
important because
belligerent?
That shows the tact.
YouTuber
Continue to
is.
ask. All of these are strategies the cult leaders use.
They're all doing
This
this.
isn't a discussion, it's a grilling.
I'm sorry, you're unwilling to defend your beliefs in any kind of rational.
Oh, if you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask?
What you see in The Master is that in the 1950s, the same dynamic, the same methodology is being used by this leader as is being used by Keith Raniere in the present day. The leaders' names change, but the game doesn't change. The Handmaid's Tale.
I used to watch this show, bro. Like the first 2 seasons or whatever. That shit was fucking had my ass.
What, The Handmaids?
Yeah, this show right here, Handmaid's
This
Tale.
woman giving birth is not an individual act. It's a group experience. What we see are all of these very intensely indoctrinated people that have accepted the group.
It had a
narrative
lot,
of what's
man.
happening. And for them, this
And
is
right
reality.
now,
What we think is crazy.
abortion.
the group
This lady had to
sees
drive a
as
bunch of
reality.
hours to go get an
I see
abortion. I watched the
Elizabeth
story about
Moss,
that.
her character, as being very similar to many
In that
people
show,
today living
America
in North Korea.
basically
Even though
went
she
backwards
isn't a
and turned
true
into this
believer,
big
she's kind
cult.
of caught up in the rhythm of it.
It could
These
totally
people
happen.
do not have a sense of individual identity. They're merged. They all look the same.
Alfred, would you like a cookie? Yes, please. Thank you.
They know that things are not the way they're being portrayed by the great leader. But they've learned that if you're a dissident, you will be imprisoned, you will be executed. There's
Right.
a book, Influence, written by Robert Cialdini, and Cialdini lays out 6 basic principles of influence. And one is what is called social proof. And that is that we rely on the feedback of people around us
Right.
to understand what is real and what is not real,
Right.
and to know what to do and how to react. And so what happens in a cult is that the social proof is controlled by the group. And so, if you will, it's a false social proof, but it's very powerful.
False social proof.
Marcy.
Okay, I'm gonna stop killing y'all with this. What you think about that?
I don't know, man. It just seems like I mean, periodically, shit like, you find out about some of these groups, and I guess you also have to even wonder, like, with a lot of the stuff that's going on, the hidden knowledge of different things that is coming out. Like, those things are somewhat cultish. You know what I'm saying? Some of this, like, honestly, one of the groups that because we talked, I said the Scientology or whatever, that's one. But the other one that is out and about that seems very cultish is the Israelites. Like, these people that's out here they're the real Israel, this, that, and the other. Which, I mean, I know black people are supposed to be these people, but I mean, based on a lot of the history that I understand, and it's not so much just that you identify with it. To me, it's more so that you're not really you're not able to go outside of anything that outside of the Bible or this history about yourself or just different forces. If you do, it's like what I'm saying. My cousin go back and forth. A lot of this, like, dude, there's a lot of discoveries that's happening now that can show you that, yeah, a lot of that is true, but at the same time, does it mean that it's actually you or me and this, that, and the other? Because it's just like, me trying to force everybody to say, if it's not something that you self-identify with, and somebody's trying to force it on you, that's kind of cultish. You know what I'm saying? But that's one of the groups that I guess I can say that I think is out right now that's really got people's minds so deep that no matter what you try to tell them, showing them proof in different ways other than what they're seeing, maybe different aspects of it. But yeah, I think it's crazy, bro. The Scientologists, the Scientology people, that
You
might be
can't tell
one
them
of
nothing.
the. Oh no, that might be one of the worst that's ever come about. Probably. I mean, I don't know of any people getting killed, but I think, yeah, I'm gonna step away for a second, but I'm still here. I mean, people getting killed, of course, that's horrible, but that might have been a blessing for them. I mean, the mind control over a person and like they can't save themselves. You're not really, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people that's on the compound with the Scientology groups or whatever, shoot, them people are pretty much
In
like
prison.
they're pretty much locked up. I mean, did you see any of the stuff that they had on Netflix?
Yeah, I saw some of that stuff there. That shit is crazy. Yeah, they pretty much locked up. They take their money, everything.
And
Separate
somebody
them from
who
their family. Can't get contact with them.
yeah,
Some of the people trying to get away and they can't.
shoot, Mormons. I mean, not the Mormons. Oh, what's the ones that knock on your door?
Jehovah Witness.
The Jehovah Witness. Because a lot of them, because they live freely, they go home, they do this and that and the other, but the control of their mind is where it's more, if you know what I'm saying, if you don't have the openness to be able to, because I mean, at one point I was, kind of like into that whole Israelite thing, this, that, and the other throughout my, trying to discover myself or whatever. But because I had an open mind, once I'm able to see certain things, I can let, I can let those things go and move on to something that makes more sense. For those, it's like if you even try to see it a different way, you're condemned. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they make them feel so bad that if they don't, if they if they try to think any other way, that's, what I'm saying, that's the end of your salvation or, okay, what I'm saying? Like that's where I see it like a big problem. And one of my cousins is so deep in it, that's just like I don't know what's gonna save him.
Yeah. I hate that you pointed out the Jehovah Witnesses though, because a lot of the religions you could say the same thing about them.
Well, I mean, really, most religions I would say are cultish. I mean, Christianity, I mean, it really is a cult. I mean, really, all religions are a cult. All, but to me, it's when it's going to an extreme of how, because I mean, shit, we can see like a lot of most of our families that follow any, any religion strongly, that's not open to seeing because if they think that theirs is way better than everything else, you've been sold on something that's, in my opinion, you've been sold on something that's not necessarily like just all truth and all everything. And, there's people who feel like, they're, regardless of their background, that they are the people of the book. White people do this, black people do this. I mean, like it's all, what I'm saying? Like, how can everybody be that group? And then you'll fight over who it really is. And
exactly. That's what I be saying all the time. We had a comment, I don't know how long ago it was, because 145. Damn, that was a long time ago. I just now noticed it. Anyways, we on for 2 hours and 41 minutes to answer your question. And I'm a little under the weather, so I don't know how much longer we're gonna go, but
yeah.
Go ahead. What you were saying, yeah, because like I think that all of them are cults too. I really do.
Yeah.
Christianity is definitely a cult.
Well, because to me, it's like I was saying before the video, is that because of we made a culture of these different things, and making it a part of our lives the way we have is what makes it truly a cult. And if you pretty much if you're the way that you use it is what makes it that extreme cult. So I mean, you don't want to just totally make it a bad thing.
Yeah. I took a class on this, and that's what they said in the class. That's pretty much exactly what they said, what you just said. That it's not necessarily a bad thing. But you need to be able to identify it, you need to be able to identify.
I think really because everything isn't about just being safe, I guess you can say, but at the same time having a certain level of openness to realize when certain things is a little bit ridiculous, and overdoing certain things and being able to benefit from the world itself. If you're blocking yourself off from the rest of the world to have this one thing, I mean, are you really living? And that's just my point of view of it.
You got to keep growing spiritually to be alive.
Yeah, because I mean, that's the whole thing. If you continue to breathe, that's where your spirit lies, is in your breath. Continue to breathe means that you have more life, and you're learning things along the way, but you could be hindering yourself from learning more if you only allow one thing to control your life.
I want to read this right here. It says, student, you keep telling me how important it is to get an education, but it's really expensive. Can I get some help? Germany, all colleges tuition free. Finland, we welcome anyone in the world to get any level of education, no charge. Denmark, don't be silly. College won't cost you anything, but we will provide you with $900 a month for living expenses for 6 years. United States, this is America. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. We'll provide you with loans at 10 times the interest rate that we charge banks. And if you don't pay, we'll garnish your paycheck. If you declare bankruptcy, you still owe us. Also, textbooks aren't included.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand why that argument is so, whenever I talk about this kind of stuff, I always get a lot of pushback. And then I'm like, why? I mean, even the idea, okay, let me read some of my comments. It said, we're the greatest country in the world and capitalizing on everything possible to benefit economically at all costs, any costs, including the future prosperity of the country itself. And it's like, what reasons would a country want to make education free or inexpensive for its citizens? How do you think the United States will compete in the global market in the future? Is there value in education?
Well,
How do you think the United States is going to compete in the market in the future?
They won't. We don't. I mean, we don't now. And and this is that selfishness that keeps growth. Because I mean, like with the mindset, you got to really think about what allows people to have creativity, and it's a certain freedom of being able to do, just be, that allows people to really express themselves and to discover and to explore, things like that. And if you're in a prison mentality everywhere you go, what I'm saying? Because, some people would argue that Earth is a prison, planet. But I would, say that maybe that to a certain extent, but definitely America is a prison continent.
Yeah. Yeah, we got the most number of prisoners. We got the largest percentage of our population are in jails. We have the most prisons, so literally and figuratively, because in parts of America you could probably call as a whole ass open air prison.
And look, and if you think about it, the more you're more rewarded, the more you manipulate people. Like the more you're able to capitalize on everything that everybody else is doing,
and that's capitalism.
You're able to hoard if you're able to hoard the most money and this, that, and the other, you're the most rewarded person in this country.
So the selfish bully, So, and that's what I be saying. So, they say the cream bubbles to the top. Not here in America. The most selfish, the most bully, he's the guy that's going to bubble to the top. The person who has the least amount of compassion for others.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, and you got to think about that. That's the person who gets promoted at the jobs, is the ones who could give a shit about the rest of the employees. Is if they're able to look at self and just like, I don't give a damn about this, that, or whatever. Like, you can be mean to the, or, throw fits with the other employees. You're an asset to the company. You know what? We need to give you a different, you're going to get the office. We're going to, give you certain privileges. We're going to give you more money.
I hate to change the subject, but something you said made me think when you said about the Earth being a possible prison. My brain started going ding, 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 because the thing about us not finding no other extraterrestrial, no intelligent, or what we would call intelligent life outside of the Earth. You know what I'm saying? And with all the technology we have, all the telescopes we have, and it's a lot of people searching, they looking. And as far as we know, we don't have no evidence of other intelligent life, and that could mean a few things. Like one of it could simply mean that there isn't anyone, or it could mean we are not a part of the global community. What I'm saying?
Well, the universal or metal, the multiverse.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
we're not really a part of the multiverse.
we're excluded for some reason, you know. They don't fuck with us for some reason, you know what I'm saying? They avoid this whole sector of the universe. They're like, oh, it's aliens. I mean, it's humans over there, bro. Don't even drive through there.
Yeah.
Don't even drive through there.
I mean, they probably have a different name for us.
Yeah.
Like you know, what Curtis was upset about the kata thing that the Africans call, you
Yeah.
know, but maybe they have some kind of term for us over
Yeah.
here in Earth, period.
Yeah.
You know, from,
All
you know,
earthlings. They call us something.
yeah, it's a derogatory word,
Yeah,
whatever it is.
like a kata, yeah.
Yeah.
Them damn
But-
akatas. Don't even drive through there. You might get some of the stink on you. Don't go through there.
Yeah, but I mean, I would definitely, I would say that it's really crazy when you look in depth in a lot of it, because just the way that we operate as humans is just like, even when you go back and throughout history, it's crazy. I mean, and most of us kind of fall into this whole cycle. Very few of us really kind of, you know, I'm kind of jealous of those people was at the North Sentinel Island, where they're able to just, like, they just got their own thing. They don't deal, like, you know what I'm saying, you come over here, you're gonna get your issue, because this is, you know, this is it.
There's a recent story of a chick going over there. It was a couple of them in the group, and they went over there. They were missionaries, and then, you know, trying to convert them to Christianity or whatever.
How many spears did they get?
Yeah, they all died. They died. It was like, I think it was like 3 of them. Yeah, they were all killed.
They're still trying to convert people.
Yeah, so that's what's so crazy, man. That whole idea, you know, of oh, they're savages or whatever. So I'm gonna freaking go and you know, I'm gonna convert them to Christianity, because otherwise they're going to hell. So it's like, if they didn't know nothing about Jesus, they don't know nothing about Christianity, then they're sinning over there. They're going to hell. God is gonna send them to hell.
But look, that's, you know, you got to think, like, the way that they act. You know, it's really crazy that, because I mean, even let's just say right now, you know, both of us, you know, we read, we got good understanding of a lot of different things about life. But if we go, you know, we could be considered illiterate depending on who's observing us.
Right. 100%. You can't judge a fish by how he can climb a tree.
Yeah. So I mean, I just don't get the whole idea of trying to, I mean, because it's a lot of this stuff is still based on, you know, 15th century, 16th century ideals of, you know, what was the doctrine of discovery, where this, you know, try to enslave people based on, you know, or trying to take control over lands because of, you know, they discovered it. The same, you know, what Columbus did, what they claim he did here and I guess South America, stuff like that. So it's the same idea to try to, you know, control people and its land through demonizing them, or, you know, devaluing them. Because the people that was here, I know, like, based on the history that I'm seeing, you know, let's just say North America, these are some very bright people. I mean, these are, like, it's showing proof that, yeah, you know, Israel was here. At least there was an Israel here in North America, that, you know, these people had, they had languages like the Aramaic, the Arabic, like, these are all advanced languages that a lot of, pretty much every other language is rooted from. So how is it that these people are so ignorant that, and are either so savage that they need a new way of living? No, you just trying to manipulate these people. That's all it was. Like, you're just trying to take over something that you wanted. You saw that was, some awesome shit. You're like, I want that. All right, well, what can we do to take it? But I digress.
It's a lot of lunacy, and that's why I wanted to play that shit about the cult, because I think that a lot of people are just brainwashed, thoroughly brainwashed, and it's so hard to get them out of it. It's so hard. It's like you're addicted to a drug.
Well, the first thing to salvation is realizing when you're wrong, or that you at least having a possibility that you could be wrong. So, or I'm saying that like what do they tell drug addicts? You got to realize that there's a problem. You got to at least admit that there's a problem, and some people will never get to that idea because they're so sold on. I mean, I got people I deal with all the time that really, that's family to me. And, regardless of how lost they are, at least, of course, hey, am I one of those people? I don't know. Sometimes I have to question myself, but, based on what I see, no, I have enough openness to be able, well, I can recognize, oh, hell no, that's some crazy shit. No, you ain't doing that no more. You know what I'm saying? If you have that kind of discern, I think you're safe because you're not just locking yourself into, one idea. You're not open to other ideas. Most likely, you've been bought and sold.
Check this out. This is interesting. It says Al Warden, former astronaut and member of Apollo 15 mission, said not only the aliens are real, but they came to Earth in distant past and created our civilization. We are the aliens. What do you think?
Yeah. I think there are different types of aliens, and I'll buy. It can be looked at in different ways because all of us could come. Just think about when we're born, or like the astrology. Based on the projection of the planets, the different constellations in which these planets are in when you're born, your spirit comes from, is what they're saying. Your spirit comes from, and then you're into an avatar body that can be disposed of. So I can agree to that on different levels or whatever, but you can use that same idea from different perspectives as well when you're going into religious ideas, or but I if you want to call ourselves aliens, yeah, I mean there I mean I listened to this thing, third phase of the moon, or with I think that's what, third phase of the moon, where they talk about the different types of aliens that's here, and was the grays and the it's all kind of different ones. I forget all the different terms for them. I don't get to watch it as much as I used to, but it's something that I'm definitely intrigued by.
Yeah, the reptilians, and then they have the ones they call like the light ones, the Lutheran, Lazarus. No, it's I don't know.
but yeah, I mean, I'm even one of those that believe that shoot, we've been to different planets, like even or even alternate you know realities, I guess you could say. God damn. So
What?
looking at you,
The screen?
yeah, I saw you scrolling.
What was it?
A big old booty.
Oh yeah.
Uh, but however, because of our minds, we're able to explore different things without going anywhere physically. So, it's kind of it would be kind of simple to say that it's just one thing or the other, because I mean we can contemplate these different perspectives and place ourselves in all of these different places that we can't necessarily, because I mean I feel like, I mean, I've had some out of body experiences, like in what we call dreams. Man, I went to war with some zombies. You know what I'm saying? I don't been, you know what I'm saying? I've experienced some shit in the dream world. How does that necessarily mean that because when I came to, I was laying in my bed, that I didn't go there? I might, you know what I'm saying? Like, you really got to kind of look at uh what we consider reality in different lights. Just say that.
Yeah. Voter fraud. What?
What is that about? I
See,
mean,
this is what I be talking about, because like I say, that shit is not, it doesn't happen. This says Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick sets a minimum of $25,000 bonding in November 2020 for proof of voter fraud. And so this guy,
but the people,
he turned in a Republican for voting twice.
Look, let me tell you something. And all right, that's cool. Me too. I mean, whatever y'all want to do, but I look at, yes, there is a possibility of there being voter fraud, but at some point you have to just kind of be like, okay, each citizen can't go through and do the research. You have to trust whoever is doing it, that it's being done properly, or that or just accept the fact that, okay, if it was and they're allowing it, it just is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to get held up on some bullshit. Okay, like, you know what? We've had presidents we didn't like before. We this, that, and the other. This is who we got. This is what we're gonna have to deal with. Maybe you should have more involvement somewhere to where you can make a difference. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And who's putting a bounty? What is that gonna do? Who's gonna rat? Because guess what? $25,000 for somebody who's in position that can allow the that type of thing to happen. Somebody else is probably paying them a lot more than that to be able to. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know.
It's just because it's not a real thing. That shows that it's not a real thing. What I was saying before in the other video was that thing happens so rare. And even when it does, there's no way it has any impact on an election, one way or the other.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna go that far and say it doesn't have any impact? Because I mean, if it didn't, then there wouldn't be any cheating necessary.
No, it's just those the cheating happens just not that way. It happens with them drawing up the districts, packing districts and, choosing their voters and, what
Making
I'm
people
saying?
show IDs.
Yeah, that too. I was just, look, I have a video on that. Damn, where is it? I have a video on that. The guy went to go vote and he put his name on the thing or whatever. They asked him for his ID. He showed his ID, put his thing on the thing, and he was like, well, how do they know if I didn't do the right name or some shit like that? He said, well, they check it with the registry. So, there's no need for the ID. Actually, they could use your damn name. They could use your regular ass Texas ID is good enough.
Well, you know what? I think if they if there was more of a central when it comes to politics, government things like that, because one of the things that I've heard an argument over is that using dead people, even back in when Bush was running, that's how people in Florida that was definitely dead voted. And okay, I'm sure that's not like a high number, but at the same time, I mean, we are having millions of people that's dying every year, that if you're able to use them as people who voted, then that could make up a difference in different districts or whatever.
They
You got
they
hundreds.
know. They, like I say, they have so much stuff, and that's not a thing. Anybody who's saying that dead people are voting and it impacts the election, they're either ignorant or they're lying, because it's not a thing. Because it's not a thing. I know this for a fact. Reality. It's not a thing.
You know that for a fact.
I know that for a fact, that it's not dead people voting.
No, of course there's not. Of course we know that there's not dead people voting, but dead people's.
This happens so rare. That's what I'm saying. This happens so rare that there's no way that it can have any impact on any election at all, ever.
Hey, to each his own. Because I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't speak on that. And all I know, I've heard these different arguments. So I mean, I don't invest myself into that much, because we're still talking about whoever ends up as yes, it makes a difference on who's actually in office, but at the same time, once they're in office, what the hell can I do? So that's just at the point where I am. And a lot of lately I haven't even had enough trust in it to even especially on the national level, to where like it makes it it's so corrupt that you can't
Well, I dig through this stuff, and that's why I be telling people that you have to dig through the details to be able to understand, because the cheating is totally happening, but it's not happening as dead people voting, and it's not happening as people voting twice. That doesn't affect the outcome of the elections, because it's such a small percentage.
Yeah, but I mean, at some point, if there's not things done about it, it can get worse. And like I said, I mean, when you get the mail-in voting, and you got people who's admitting that they went to the poll and they did the mail-in.
This is the politicians deflecting you from what really is that is like focusing on, like, if you have a gaping wound and you're focusing on, I don't know, a scrape on your toe, you're focusing on the totally wrong thing. The cheating happens like one part of it is the campaign donations. We know about that, and the lobbyists, as far as them getting jobs after they come out of or before they go into a position, that and like I say, the cracking and when they put the bundles of the voters together and then they draw their districts around it. That kind of shit is where the cheating actually happens. That's what's going to affect an election. One person, 2, 3, 4, 5 people voting, get some dead people voting or double voting, don't affect the election like at all. And the same thing with the mail-in voting.
Well, changing where people get to vote, and I guess you could say like somewhat like the redistricting, I guess you can say, can affect some numbers for those districts. But as far as asking somebody for an ID, I think is not crazy.
Yeah,
that's just.
I don't.
I mean, we gotta show the idea. Yeah,
I said it in the other video too. That's a small thing. Only thing is that it's just another way to get fewer people to vote. That's all.
I mean, but how many people is that really leaving out of
that? The impact of that is low. That's what I said in the other video. But what happens with that is they just add that on top of another little thing like the polling location, and then add that on to what day of the week they could go vote, and add that on to this, that, and other, and all of those things are just making it fewer and fewer people that's going to be involved in the democratic process. That's the point of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's ridiculous to stop, ex-cons, people that's been to prison from voting is ridiculous too. So I mean, it's a lot of stuff that's happening that just doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, I mean, we really can say any argument that's presented should be just totally shut down because it's not big enough. Any one of those conversations can be used as that. It's not big enough. It doesn't happen enough for us to be concerned about.
No, but these are facts. That's my point. I swear to God. This is Wikipedia. You can look it up.
Oh my God. You trust Wikipedia?
I use Wikipedia.
You can go on Wikipedia and add whatever you want there.
The reason why we can't use Wikipedia as a source at school. The reason why I said Wikipedia
because it's not reliable.
The reason why I said Wikipedia was because that's the lowest level of research. And there's good information.
It's not a level of research.
Listen to me, bro.
Anybody can tap into it and receive or give information to Wikipedia.
I'm telling you.
You can go on there right now and add some shit as if it's a fact.
I completely get it, bro. I know this thoroughly. What I'm trying to get you to understand is that this argument is debunked. It's not an argument.
By whom? By what?
It's easily researched. Like
exactly.
The information is there to show that the mail-in ballots, bullshit. Dead people voting, bullshit. People voting twice, bullshit. There's data. There's data. You can look at the data.
So do they actually have combined? Because let's just say, they hand out all these mail-in ballots, and they're calculating. Does it kick out certain votes because it's been recognized somewhere else that those people's vote has already been counted?
They got all kinds of systems like that. That it's so hard for you to get away with that shit. That's what I'm saying.
I don't necessarily believe that because I mean for forever there's just dealing with Social Security office and IRS, they don't communicate enough with each other in order to have a full.
You have to look these things up yourself. You can't go by what these people are saying because the stuff that you're saying is coming out of these people's mouth. Is what I'm saying.
Just because something that I'm saying you heard somewhere else doesn't mean I got it from them. I have experienced these things myself to say what I'm saying.
Well, what I'm saying is there's data that shows that, and those people that are saying that stuff, they get paid to say this stuff. They know it's not true.
Well, I mean, you can say that, but at the same time, when and that's one of the things about information. People believe what they want to. In most cases, what they're searching for something that aligns with what they already believe.
I agree with that. I
So
agree with that.
that's happening with you as well.
I agree. I agree that we all do that. We all go at it, and I think part of it has to do with what I was talking about before about this, like the scientific method and the way they taught us to think when we were kids. We go at every problem trying to prove our own idea that we have on the subject.
Exactly,
So we go looking for
which makes
evidence.
no sense. Like
Yeah, that's not the way that you should go at it.
Yeah, why go into it trying to prove something that you already kind of believe? You know what I'm saying? Like you're trying to discover something. At least if you're doing a scientific experiment, you're trying to discover things that you haven't realized already. That's what should be looking at. But yeah,
That's why they say it's always should be a question, but they still going at it wrong. I agree with you on that. I completely agree with you on that. It's just like I be saying, I say the same thing all the time. That's why I say, don't take my word for it. Look it up yourself, because like I say, the stuff that I'm sure about is because I've seen the data. I've seen the data on this stuff. Like I dig through this stuff. Like the politics is one of the things I just like, I don't know, it interests the shit out of me. I'm always interested in I'm so interested in how government works. I think because government controls people, and like I was saying before, like, okay, people don't manage people. People manage systems, and systems manage people, because you can't really manage people, especially once the groups start getting too large. It's impossible. So you have to create a system to manage them, and you make adjustments as the manager. You make adjustments to your system that you've created, that you maybe somebody else created, whatever. You manage it, and you make adjustments to that system based on how the people are reacting, right? And that's what governs the people. So, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so interested in government, because people are controlled by it. It's like the authority on top of the authority.
Did they have any type of civics classes when you were in school?
I wouldn't know what you mean by civics classes. I don't know what that is.
Well, we still, I had some benefit of studying civics before they got rid of it in pretty much all of the schools, because they didn't want the average. It was. I guess it hurt the system by the average person understanding civics, and civics is just that's the science of government.
Okay.
So, when junior high school, we had some civics classes, and like I said, it ended in the middle of, what I'm saying, one year we had civics, and then next year it was gone.
Yeah, they taking geography, and they don't teach no history. Barely. They don't have no damn gym. Barely. Like shop is gone.
I mean, but for a government that lies to everyone, like because certain things, like it's harder to lie to people when you're giving them the information that if you can think for yourself,
right,
in different situations. If you have the information available about certain things, and you just happen to be one of those weirdos that learn how to think for yourself, then you can screw up everything that they've been working on to deceive you and everybody else.
And that's the last thing they teach you in school, is how to think. They don't teach us that. They teach us
the last thing.
Yeah, what I mean is they don't teach you that. They teach you to memorize. They teach you to focus on like details like the spelling of the word. One of the things I feel like is so dumb how and that's why they promote all these spelling bees and shit, because they're all like, you know, some kind of correlation between being intelligent and how well you can spell. And like, I know people who speak multiple languages and they can't spell for shit. And I tell you what, the smartest people out there are the people who can speak a whole bunch of languages. There's proof. There's proof behind that too.
Yeah, I mean, because you know, I think there's certain levels of that, because I mean, you know, you don't want to just because I mean everybody's got certain, you know, focus, you know, have different focal points in which they, you know, might be I guess, you know, are better at, you know, but you know, just because somebody's not that great in math doesn't mean that they can't be a great philosopher.
Right.
You
And
know what I'm
really,
saying?
really artists, and they're two different people. You got the people who are good at math and you got the artists. They're not the same people. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But you need both of those people. You need the math people
Yeah.
and you need the artist
And,
people. But
and
they're
they're
not the
both
same.
intelligent. And they're both intelligent. And
Yeah.
like, you know, there's people who not, you know, they're not great writers, but they're great storytellers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that's based on a structure that is made up by, you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, they know the words, they can spell a lot of these words, but because, you know, you can be, you know, you can be considered illiterate because of the definitions that, you know, are associated with some of these, even, you know, because like we develop a dialect based on our current culture, and because of the different type of linguistics that can be used, could make you totally, you know, illiterate in the eyes of some people, because you know they're looking at these words to mean something different than the way that you're actually using them. So I think that's unfair. Like that's one of the reasons why boys are considered, you know, illiterate to the, you know, especially black boys to a certain degree, is because of how they're being judged on their ability to read. You know, they can look at the book and say the words,
And that's what
but
I was gonna say, because IQ is another example of that. And you know, people like, oh, he has a high IQ, but this is this test. I could play some videos on this. That the test is racist. It's again, it has to do with the fish judging a fish to climb a tree type shit. You know what I'm saying? And just because you didn't score well on the IQ test doesn't mean that you're a dumbass. And just
no.
because you scored high on an IQ test doesn't mean that you're like ultra intelligent.
Well, you know, when I was in the second grade, I was not declared because my teacher told the principal and, you know, I guess other teachers and this, that, and the other, that I need to go to a special type of school. I guess, well, retarded would be, you know, a way of kind of trying to say it. You know, I don't know the proper term to use these days, but you know, I was a slow learner, is what they said. But when they gave me the test to see what level I was at, when I took the test, I passed with flying colors: math, reading, uh, social studies, everything. I passed it. But one of the things that's not being judged is the teaching. The person that's teaching you are they, are they teaching you the way that, you need to, really be taught? Because there's certain things that I was able to learn from my brother that I wasn't getting from the teacher. Spending enough time to be able to, really, comprehend those things that make a difference. For you to really get the great understanding.
And that's one of the issues that's with a lot of the systems that's here in the United States, is that we have this cookie cutter assembly line type of way that we like to do everything. And absolutely in education, that does not work. You cannot expect all the students to learn in the same way. So you have this same material, you have the same way that you're disseminating this information, and depending on how those students take in that information is how you judge how intelligent they are, how smart they are, or something. Like, it's totally whacked, like the truth is, like, and then the classes are too big, but within a class of 22 students, you probably got a good 10, 12 different ways of teaching that you need to come at these kids with to be able to reach them all.
Well, and you know what? There's another thing, perspective to look at too, because it never really dawned on me, because I think I wasn't jealous or angry of these different students, but come to find that there's parents who had a child or two, or multiple kids that were in gifted programs, that felt that the reasons why they, because they, not that they weren't gifted, but the reasons why that they separated them from other students was to be able to
teach
control
them.
Well, to control how much they were, because these were kids that, at that level, like, they could have been geniuses.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But, to somewhat hinder the growth.
This subject is so sad. It's a song, real popular song. I don't know the name of the guy right now. But he says, greatness withering on the vine. Greatness withering on the vine. And he's talking about young black men is what he was talking about. Greatness withering on the vine. And when I think about that, it really makes me sad, because how many young black men fall through the cracks? How many of them, could have been this, could have been that, and they got mashed before, when they was in elementary school.
Well, and that's the thing about, because harnessing or having the ability to propel a mind is like one of the, greatest accomplishments a person can have. If it's something that you can say to a kid, or guidance that you can give them that can allow them to, go further in life, teachers, I don't think, that are actually for the students to actually have growth, or not recognized the way that they should be. But at the same time, they're not allowing people to grow in the way that they should. Like, man, like, we had inventions all the time here in America at one point, when there was more, what I'm saying, before the structure, the new curriculum, the structures of school that we have today came about, or within the last 30, 40 years of how they've structured school, has only declined in growth, and only ones that really truly, become exceptional lived outside of that paradigm of public schools, where public schools should have really allowed more people to get access to tapping into greatness. Because
And it's the two-tier system of America, because the people that can afford to put their child, homeschool them, or put them in a really nice school, some kind of whatever, those people get to have their kids actually get taught and, you know what I mean, educated. And then everybody else is in the public school system and they're just getting from the school to prison pipeline, like, or from a school to a factory, you know, like factory jobs or whatever, like worker bees.
Yeah.
And it's so like that. Our schools are so segregated now. And then you know, you got the church schools who, and then they get to control the curriculum. So what's happening is a lot, even them, they're not getting educated, bro. Like they're coming out of school not knowing shit.
You
More
know,
confused than anything.
well, and that's the thing. Like, you know, us, you know, of course, it's still left up to us as parents to, you know, guide our children to be able to, you know, excel past the average, you know, kid, or you know, that's, you know, they're being taught, you know, that's they may be in school with, but you know, we really got to take a look at. It shouldn't have to be, you know, like there should be higher growth or more growth in our average people, you know, our average students, because I just don't think that we're showing any care or love, you know, giving the nurturing, you know, the teachers nurturing these kids for them to discover themselves enough or to feel comfortable with living outside of the box. I mean, they just want, you know, those who make it through, those who are headstrong enough to be able to go on to higher learning into college, you know, regardless of what level, whether it's a 2-year, 4-year, or even 8-year programs, however long they may, you know, go into school. But it's so much more of an indoctrination or a way to hold you to a certain, lock you into a certain paradigm more than it is to unlock the mind to be able to live freely and think freely.
I agree. I totally agree. And because I did a post on Instagram about freedom and education. What was it? Hold on, let me pull it up so I'm thinking about it. Because I'm about to wrap it. I'm tired and I feel a little bit better. Sometimes I think getting on here and talking kind of makes me feel better. At least that's what I'm telling myself.
You got to stay active. That's one of the things that I think that helps me through any of my you know, times I'm sick.
Hold on. Instagram is distracting. I ain't gonna lie. Hold on, let me show this. And it ended off on a light note.
What's that?
Can you see the screen?
I see the screen. I see a red bone showing it off.
Oh,
Hey,
shit. I lost it. Hold on. Is that the same? No.
Oh Lordy, Lord. Dun, 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 dun. Baby got back.
Yeah. This chick is like from Germany. She's a plus size model. Anyways, I don't want to get in trouble. These are all legit pictures though. Let me go.
And that's what they consider plus size?
Yeah.
In Germany?
Well, she's a model. She be over here, but she's from Germany. I think she lives here.
Because I mean, I guess I've always, you know, considered plus models or, you know, heavy set plumping.
Yeah.
type of what's the girl that had the whole TED Talks on
Oh
twerking?
shit! I hate that bitch. Don't say her name.
All right, I don't know. I
Please don't
can't
say
think
her
of
name.
her. I
Yeah.
won't. I
No,
don't
don't say
even.
her
I
name.
don't remember her name. She's so irrelevant to me.
Oh my god, bro! I hate that chick. It's
You
like
know,
I asked my daughter.
she's a prop. I mean, like
Ask my daughter. Does she sing or rap? Does she? Is she singing or is she rapping? I don't even know.
I think that she has some talent. You know, so I mean, as far as on the musical side, I would maybe give her more props. But to see how they're trying to use her to
Oh, here it is.
mess up people's mindsets, thinking that it's okay to be unhealthy. Don't worry about it. Yeah, look, I mean, there's a bunch of us that's gonna be naturally overweight. It's not gonna be like you know, everybody's not gonna be the little skinny or little, small, whatever. I get it. I'm a big guy, but at the same time, I know I need to bring it down a few notches. But if you start telling, especially women, that they don't need to worry about none of that or whatever, and they're dying at 50, or what I'm saying, like,
we can make a whole show about this. Maybe we could talk about tomorrow because it's unhealthy, right? And it's like what happens is, like, go girl, be yourself. Find somebody who love you for you, girl. Okay, well, is that the good advice to give to somebody who's literally dying for being overweight?
Yeah, but I mean, who are they going to get? They're going to get other unhealthy people that, a lot of them, for whatever reasons, not attracted to. Like these big girls, they got a problem with big guys.
And it's crazy, like I say. So it's like the thing that people need to stress is that it's unhealthy. Like shaming you body shaming me, you're calling me fat, you're being mean. Okay, that's fine, but let's look at the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is that heart disease, diabetes, that's real things, and it's caused by being overweight.
Yeah, and
Blood pressure.
and it was specifically, used to, like they're trying to get you out of here. They don't give a damn.
They don't care about you. Eat another bag of chips.
Yeah, spend all the money that we're producing this stuff. We want you to come spend all your money with
And then
us.
when you get sick, go spend a whole bunch of money at hospital. We're gonna, I hate those signs talking about cure, like we're fighting cancer. Like I mean, I know some people are gonna be mad at me for this, but it's like MD Anderson and the big old sign talking about we fight cancer and all of this, but all I could think about is the prices that it costs for these people when they fucking got cancer. All I could think about is how the healthcare system that we has no preventative medicine and waits till you fucking about to die, and then they fucking charge you an arm and a fucking leg to try to save your life because you're willing to pay whatever it costs to fucking try to live. And then then they give you shit like chemotherapy, which mostly that's what's killing people than the fucking cancer. Like,
well, and then and then the recovery rate or the success rate is what, not even 30%. That wouldn't be considered success anywhere in the world.
And if they really want to fight cancer, then we fight these unhealthy ass lifestyles that we have here in America.
Well,
Come
I mean,
on.
the reasons why cancer builds up is because of the free radicals in that is, you're exposed to through food, and these parasites that's steadily growing inside of you, that like most illnesses is based on deficiencies, mineral deficiencies.
Yeah,
And
but our lifestyle, what we eat, not exercising, not drinking water, these fucking processed ass fucking foods.
the way that they the process it, because you just don't know how clean these plants are that's processing the food where parasites can grow. I mean,
because everybody say because really all the food, if it was processed at all, it's probably not good for you. You know, pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Look, check this out. This is what I was talking about. It said the secret to freedom is in educating the people, whereas the secret to tyranny is in keeping them ignorant. Somebody's quote. And then I wrote, you think you know, but you don't. You think you are free, but you are not. Your ignorance is lubricant for the machine. 15-second TikToks don't count as research. Watching video clips is not researching. You have to dig through the data. It's dry and boring, takes time, and it won't satisfy your itch for sensationalism. Learning is a process that never ends. If you think you know, that tells me that you don't know.
Well, and watching the news, watching especially mainstream media, is not going to give you the information in full, because I mean, for one, they've taken away you know, like at one point it was you know, it was a certain duty that the the media outlets had to live by, but now there's, you know, they don't have to give you full you know, like they don't have to give you real information. It can just, it's entertainment at this point. You know, yes, they give you some, you know, stuff to kind of get by on and make you feel like you're getting real information, but you know, unless you're doing some research, because it's still like, you know what, I'm not gonna go into it, because I mean, was it bears? I'm gonna just say that bears exist. Look that up.
And well, you have to still, you know, a lot of people feel the way you feel, but I feel like you have to look at the news. You do. You got to. And you just have to educate yourself and learn how to be able to dig through it.
It's not the end all of information, because maybe that's where it begins, because you know, they give you a root of what's in the cycle, what's trending, what's, you know, going on now. But as far as information, like getting to the true, like
the data, and that's what I'm talking
that
about.
girl
the
fine
data.
as hell, boy.
And
love
Jay
that dark skin.
Jay Lethal be talking about she a man. Like it's a whole, and a lot of them are black people on the internet. They're like, she's a man. Man, if she's a man, I'm gay, bro.
Well, you know, I'm gonna say it like this here, I've been maybe tricked a few times, but based on what I see, I haven't seen any other hardware that lets me know
exactly.
It's, you know, but just
I don't know where they get this shit from, bro. It's a lot of hate. It's a lot of hate in the black community, bro. A lot of hate.
Yeah, so you know, some people say like it's too perfect or whatever, but I mean, I ain't gonna say it's all just perfect, but yeah, it's just got a lot of right things in the right places. You know what I'm saying? But hey, you know, look, I'm going down. She fine.
Yeah, bro, that's how I feel about it. I'm a fan. I don't like her music.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah,
but I'm a fan.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm a fan. Yeah.
I don't know. I think some people just be hating, but at the same time, I mean, you don't know these days, because you know, like I said, like, you know, somebody show a picture and just out of the blue, you don't know anything about the person, and it's just like they, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, damn, she is popping. It's like, yeah, that's a tranny. It's like, oh, okay. I was like, well, you know what? That motherfucker fine. You know, all right. I mean, you know, it's not like I'm running off to go try to be with him or nothing, but it's just like, okay, you know, if that's the case, they got to put it in the right places. I mean, what makes you gay? Actually being attracted to the same sex. They don't look like the same sex to me. Now, if I find out they got the same hardware I got,
Can y'all hear me? Well, the internet died on my computer and I'm trying to get it going. I think it's my Wi-Fi. I don't know why it's not back up. I think I'm on my phone data right now. So I was about to wrap it anyways. Guess we're gonna wrap it because I can't get it to come back up right now. It might just be an outage in the area or something. Because it's not coming back up. Yep, not coming back up. I was about to wrap it anyway. It's 3:30 in the morning. We've been going for 3 hours and 47 minutes. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for being here. I hope y'all learned something. Remember, we want you to be an activist. Anything that was said in this video, please look the shit up yourself. I'm not here to give no dogma to nobody or no fucking nothing. Like, I'm here to create leaders. So if you're listening to me, you're a leader. Go look that shit up. All right, y'all. Peace and love. I'm going to come back tomorrow. We're going to have a good one tomorrow, I promise.